Mr. Sergeant of Arms, invite the members into the chamber and close the doors. I hereby declare the House of Representatives of the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee now in session. Will the members please stand? With the visitors in the gallery please stand and remain standing through the Pledge of Allegiance. Representative Howell will be our chaplain of the day. Representative Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of my favorite scriptures in the New Testament is Romans 8:38. It says, "For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord." What a great hope we have. Let's pray. Our Father, how blessed are those of us who have accepted your Son as Savior and been adopted into the family of God and become heirs and joint heirs with Jesus Christ. Thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy and compassion, which is new every morning. And so may we live in a way that reflects Christ in us as we serve the people of Tennessee. Give us wisdom, Father, and understanding for the issues and tasks that we face every day. And may you be honored and receive glory through our efforts in all that we do as we serve Tennessee. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Representative Howell will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Clerk, please take the roll.
Roll call.
Ms. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Speaker, 92 members present.
Please let the journal reflect Representative Towns is excused. Next order, Ms. Clerk.
Welcoming, honoring, and announcements.
Welcome on our announcements. We have 4. Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that the Sergeant at Arms escort our guest into the chamber.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, escort the guest to the well. Representative Love, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request that the clerk read the resolution.
Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution.
House Joint Resolution 1236 by Representative Love, a resolution to honor and commend the Tennessee State University Tigers on winning the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament and earning a berth into the 2026 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Tournament. Whereas it is fitting that the General Assembly should salute those student athletes who have distinguished themselves as true champions while proudly representing historically Black colleges and universities. And whereas the Tennessee State University men's basketball team has earned a berth in the 2026 National Collegiate Athletic Association Division I men's basketball tournament and will play in the Midwest region. And whereas 2026 marks Tennessee State's first NCAA tournament berth since the 1993-1994 season, when the Tigers won their second of back-to-back Ohio Valley Conference Tournament championships, thanks to the talent and leadership of two-time OVC Player of the Year, Carlos Rogers. And whereas Tennessee State secured a share of the 2025-2026 Ohio Valley Conference regular season title with a 15-5 record, thus earning the number 1 seed in the conference tournament for the first time in 30 years. And whereas the Tigers handily defeated UT Martin and then routed Morehead State to claim the OVC tournament title and punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament. And whereas Tennessee State is led by OVC Player of the Year, Aaron Nkrumah, and placed the Tigers throughout the season as the team's primary scoring threat while ranking among national leaders in steals And whereas he was joined all OVC first team by teammate Travis Harper II, and Dante Harris was named to the all OVC second team and OVC all newcomer team, tying the program's highest single season total of all conference honorees. And whereas this tremendous trio combined to average 46.8 points per game during the regular season, helping Tennessee State to an overall 23-9 record and one of the most successful campaigns in decades. And whereas Nolan Smith has made an incredible impact in his first season as TSU's coach and has been recognized nationally for his coaching prowess, and whereas Coach Smith has been named a finalist for the Ben Jobe Award, Joe B. Hall Award, Hugh Durham Award. These honors recognize the nation's top coaches at historically black colleges and universities, first-year head coaches and mid-major programs, respectively. And whereas the members of this General Assembly find it appropriate to acknowledge and applaud the Tennessee State University Tigers for their outstanding season on the hardwood, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the Senate concurring, that we honor and congratulate the Tennessee State University Tigers on winning the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament and earning a berth in the 2026 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Tournament, and extend to them our best wishes as they represent the Volunteer State in March Madness.
Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Mr. Speaker, I am extremely proud today. As many as you know, I'm a TSU graduate, and today to have our head coach, our athletic director, administrators here, but most importantly, our athletes here, to honor them for their tremendous season, to be able to, as the clerk read, to be able to finish as the OVC champs and then to win the tournament. They represented Tennessee well, and I'm just so very happy to have them here today, Mr. Speaker. And I would ask that if we can, first let our head coach, Nolan Smith, have a word.
He's recognized. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First of all, it's just an absolute honor to be here, and I'm gonna be very short. This team that you all see standing up here, they were champions in every single way. They represented the state of Tennessee. They represented Tennessee State to the utmost standard. And now they've made my job very hard because now my staff and I have to go find players to uphold this standard, the championship standard. And hopefully next year we're right back in here with another championship. But this group was extremely special, from all of our managers to these players. And now as they go on to our seniors graduating, I told them y'all are champions and y'all are legends for the rest of y'all lives. So to be standing here, it's an absolute honor. On behalf of the players and the staff, just thank you all for having us.
Representative Love.
Mr. Speaker, without the athletic director, we would not also be here. I'd like to ask if we can get the athletic director to also say a word.
He is recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Love. Mr. Speaker, House of Representatives here. I hired pretty good, but no, Nolan Smith, a great hire, great leader. And these young men to the left and right of me, they are also student athletes, the student part. They understand the importance of the academics and how that all goes in and representing Tennessee State University and the state of Tennessee. And they had a tremendous season and energized our entire community. I'm extremely proud to be their leader and athletic director, and thank you all for your support.
Representative Love.
And one last person, Mr. Speaker, we have our Chief Operating Officer who will be speaking on behalf of the President, Mr. Jerome Oglesby.
Thank you, Representative Love. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are so proud of these young men. We're also proud of the coaching staff, our athletic department. They have done a wonderful job this year, and we thank you for representing or allowing us to represent the university here in this establishment, but also thank you for recognizing what Tennessee State University has done. And thank you to these young men for the way they have represented Tennessee State University. Thank you.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if you could, please come join us for a picture. And did want to note that we also, Coach Smith was the OVC Coach of the Year. All right.
Chairman Clemens, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request the Sergeant at Arms escort our guest into the chamber.
Mr. Sergeant of Arms, please escort the guests to the well. Chairman Clemens, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request that the clerk read the resolution.
Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution.
House Joint Resolution 1214, a resolution to commend Representative Caleb Hemmer for his honorable and astute service to the people of Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives. Whereas it is most appropriate that the members of this General Assembly should honor those fellow legislators who have performed their duties with the utmost integrity and whose efforts during their time in office have been dedicated to providing thoughtful and exemplary service to their districts and to this great state. And whereas Representative Caleb Hemmer of Nashville is one such distinguished public servant who has served both his constituency and this legislative body with honor and ability. And whereas during his tenure on Capitol Hill, Representative Hemmer has been a highly influential figure in the political, social, and civic life of Davidson County. And he has served his constituents in numerous capacities, always working diligently at his elected duties and expending the necessary effort to understand the opposing sides of complex issues. And whereas Caleb Hemmer has distinguished himself as a public-spirited citizen of the highest order and as an exceptional asset to the good people of the 59th House District, whom he has served as a member of the 113th and 114th General Assemblies. And whereas throughout his service, Representative Hemmer has been prominent as a dedicated and well-informed legislator who always votes his conscience. And whereas prior to his tenure in the General Assembly, he served on the Davidson County Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners from 2014 to 2022, and previously worked as a legislative liaison and executive assistant to the commissioner for the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development from 2005 to 2011, assistant to Governor Phil Bredesen from 2004 to 2005, and as a legislative intern for the Tennessee General Assembly in 2003. And whereas Representative Caleb Hemmer has been recognized with numerous honors for his service and leadership, including being named one of Nashville's leaders under 40 by Nashville Business Journal and a finalist for the Nashville Emerging Leader Award in Medical and Healthcare Services by the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. And whereas his many professional accomplishments aside, Representative Hemmer is most thankful for the love and support of his wife, Lori, and his two children, Evan and Nora. And whereas Representative Caleb Hemmer is wholly committed to the noble precepts of public service that have earned Tennessee recognition as the volunteer state, and he should be specially recognized for an exemplary tenure in the General Assembly. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives, the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the Senate concurring, that we hereby honor Representative Caleb Hemmer for his meritorious service to Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives, commend him for his countless contributions and many good works in the service of the citizens of the 59th House District, and extend to him our best wishes for much continued success and happiness.
Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can't say, Representative Hemmer, that I'm happy about this departure from our body. When Representative Hemmer told me that he was moving on, which I hope is only a temporary move from public service, I've got to say I was quite disappointed, not only because Representative Hemmer is a great friend who I've known a long time, but since he has stepped foot into this body, he has been a tremendous asset, not only as a representative for the people in his district, but he's been a tremendous asset to me and the House Democratic Caucus, and I think everyone up here who had the opportunity to work with Representative Hemmer on any piece of legislation about which he was passionate. I think we've all seen someone who is committed to public service, has a lifelong commitment to public service, was taught by the best, had some great role models, was kept in line by his sister, I'm sure, and his great parents, and then had the unfortunate assignment by the speaker of sitting next to his brother-in-law. But you persevered and you survived, and we appreciate it. It is with tremendous sadness that I'm going to miss having Representative Hemmer in this body to not only push me, but push great legislation. And it's very unfortunate for the people of House District 59 who are losing an incredible champion for each and every one of them. And it's not just a select few in his district that he represents. It's each and every person that is blessed to be a constituent of Representative Hemmer. And so, Representative Hemmer, we are seriously and sincerely going to miss your service. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to hand it over to Representative Mitchell.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a sad day for me as well. It's whether y'all believe it or not, some days it's hard to, deal with some of you. And, but when you got, especially you, Faison. But when you got someone that's more than a friend, he's family sitting there next to you, it just makes it a little easier sometimes. Caleb has been a dedicated public servant. He's the epitome of your citizen legislator. He's come down here, served his time. Now he's going back home and work hard for his family. You've got to respect that. But it's going to be a little bit sad back in my corner back there without knowing Caleb's, going to be there with me, and that support of Caleb each and every day. Caleb's been a very diligent legislator. His district is going to miss him greatly. He studies, he works hard, he tries to look at both sides of an issue, and I think he's what the epitome of a legislator ought to be. But with that being said, Mr. Speaker, we're going to miss Caleb, and I'd like to recognize Representative Vaughn for just a few words, if we could.
Representative Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's interesting. Many of y'all know I've lived in Collierville for 40 years, but you're always from the town that you went to high school at. So I'm from Bolivar, Representative Shaw's district. And so there's some boys down there that run them a Facebook outdoor show. And like they told me, they said, we're glad to know somebody. And I said, well, hey, anytime you want me to come on, you want to handle something. They said, well, we've got a friend up there in the legislature. And I said, who's that? And they said, Representative Hemmer. How in the world does somebody from the hoity-toity section of Nashville get to be buddies with my friend? They said, man, he is fired up about people poaching his turkey land. And said, anything you can do to get behind that, we would really appreciate it. But have we got any Disney fans out here? Disney fans? And if y'all have seen the movie Ferdinand, Ferdinand's about a bull, and he's big and he's loud and he's moving into a new area, and the farm has someone that they put in the stall with them to calm him down. It's called the Calming Goat. And it's very funny. If you ever have to watch it, it's a kid's movie, but it's very, so anyway, I just liken Caleb to Bo's Calming Goat. Speaker was very wise. I've noticed that Bo's been missing some of his edge back there, and I attribute it to Caleb's sensibilities and his calming influence. But the last thing I want to say is that as a member of our Commerce Committee and our Banking Subcommittee, Chairman Darby and I work together a lot, and I can't tell you how many times we've had legislation in front of us that the question between he and I is, have we heard what Caleb thinks about this? Because his opinion is pro-business, market-driven. He has always been a very sound voice for policy for this state, for the state of Tennessee, in his role on our banking subcommittee as well as the Commerce Committee. And we will indeed miss that. But I noticed that everybody else is up here with long faces, and Caleb's back here grinning. He's the lucky one. But so anyway, we're going to miss him terribly in Commerce. The boys on the radio show or the Facebook show will miss him down in Bolivar. But we know he's going to go on to do great things. But we thank you for your service, Representative Hemmer.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could we have Senator Campbell say a few words?
Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For my colleague and mostly my friend, Caleb Hemmer, I'll tell you from the moment that he called me up and told me that he was running for his seat. He has been a tireless fighter for his district to the degree that a lot of people don't even know. He's done all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, made phone calls on people's behalf. When we had Storm Fern, you will not find somebody who fought harder for his district. So we are really going to miss him, but congratulations to his family for getting him back. And I know that it's been a tough road, but I'm so proud of you, Caleb, for everything you've done. And I absolutely expect to see you back in public service soon because we need you. And congratulations to all of you.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could we have the point guard of the General Assembly, Representative Brock Martin, say a few words?
Representative Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, Lori, Noah, thank you guys so much, Nora and Evan, for sharing your father with the state of Tennessee. As young children at home, I know the sacrifice that goes into it. Thank you guys for allowing him to be a part of this. Tennessee is better because Caleb has served up here. I got in here 4 years ago. I walked in the chamber and there's this tall, goofy looking guy in the back corner. And I thought, he needs a friend. So I'm going to go talk to him. So I went, and little did I know, I'd end up becoming one of my best friends in this place. For the last 4 years, Caleb and I have had an opportunity to become close friends. We've traveled to sporting events. Our families camped together. We've spent many a days on phone calls. Many great bills that Brock has run and passed has actually been Caleb's bills. So we'll give credit for Caleb on some of these things. But he has been an exceptional asset for Tennesseans. And he and I have had an opportunity last year. We went to the Baker Center over at UT, and we spoke about civil discourse and what it should look like in the public sector to these next generation Tennesseans, and how both sides can disagree, but at the end of the day, we can still be friends and still make sure that Tennesseans are the forefront of what we're doing and thinking about. Caleb helped me see that and helped me understand how to do that moving forward. Caleb, we're going to miss you. We want you back. I know life will be challenging without him here. Whatever happens, happens. He leans, he's a perfect center-left individual. If he comes back next year or whenever, maybe he could be a little center-right, and we'll take him on our team. But we appreciate you. Thank you again for your sacrifice, Lori, and your service, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, could we have Leader Camper say a few words?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Man, our caucus is going to really miss you. And a lot of the work that you do that benefit our caucus. Although your time here has been brief, your impact has been nothing but great. You are engaging, you're an effective member of this House. You've brought serious work and respect to the institution. You always try to clearly communicate your thoughts, your vision, and what you're trying to get done. And we need that sometimes when we get lost in the air of everything that's going on. So I appreciate you bringing us back, to what we are talking about and dealing with. Sometimes, members, it's not the length of service that you're defined by, but it's the quality of your service that leaves the legacy. And your quality is going to leave a great legacy here, not just in the General Assembly, but you all heard his bio. I met him when he was a liaison for ECD, and we immediately bonded. We've just been friends ever since. So to see him from the liaison to come here and be a part of this body, I thought was a great thing for our state. We're going to miss you. You've been an example for us. You've contributed immensely to our caucus, to this body, and to our state. Much success to you and everything that you're going to do. Call us if you need us. We're going to miss you terribly.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, before we hear from Caleb, I'd just like to introduce a few of the guests we've had up here. We've got former Representative and former Commissioner Matt Kisber with us today. We've got Catherine Ferris. She was Caleb's first legislative assistant, and Jordan Boatwright is currently. And we have my mother-in-law, Vicki Irvin, here with us today, Caleb's mother. We have my lovely, beautiful wife and Caleb's sister, Chastity Mitchell. We have Nora and Evan, Caleb's children, Lori. We have Caleb's stepmom and father, Phil, and Jeannie Himmer. And with all that being said, Mr. Speaker, could we please hear from Caleb?
Representative Himmer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleagues for all the kind words. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bo, for your continued friendship. Those of y'all that know Bo, there's no one better having your corner. There's no one worse to have against you, and I appreciate wouldn't have been here without him, and appreciate him giving me the room to grow and be my own man up here, and everything he's done to help me. First and foremost, my family. All of us here, we get a lot of the limelight, but it's our families back home that are usually the ones pulling up the heavy load and don't get any of the glory. First and foremost, my wife. I could not have done what I've done and been up here and sacrificed without the sacrifices she's made on behalf of our family and our kids. And I can't wait to spend more time with them. I'm very appreciative to all my constituents that sit me up here, the campaign supporters, my staff, former staff, Catherine and Jordan, for keeping me upright up here, and for Matt Kisber for being up here. He's one of my first bosses up here, and I'm just alongside Governor Bredesen. I just could not pick two better mentors and friends and now constituents that have had that from day one up here. Been able to just learn and watch and be able to figure out how to do things, how to treat people, how to govern. And so thank you so much for those life lessons. And then to my legislative family, a slightly dysfunctional family, but a family nonetheless. This morning, my kids, my Evan was trying to trick me, and he asked, "Daddy, which one do you like more? Or which one do you love more?" Said, well, I handled that very deftly like a politician did, but I told him it reminded me of a former story that when I was a young aide for Governor Bredesen, we went to Memphis to do a joint event with Governor Beebe of Arkansas. And one of the people asked him a question. I said, well, Governor, how do you get along with your legislator in Arkansas? He said, well, I love them all like my children. And then leaned in really softly and said, and much like my children, I like some of them much more than others. So, but I'm the luckiest man I know. I got to be up here. I got to fulfill a life dream coming from an intern to a member, been able to give back to my community. I'm here today because of God's grace, a little bit of modern medicine, good friends, family, hard work, and a little luck. I've survived 2 bouts of cancer, a school shooting, and for whatever reason, God has put me here to serve and kept me on this earth. And I can't thank him enough for that. Tennessee really is the greatest state in the country. And it's not because of its politics, it's because of its people. And make no mistake, the people send us up here to solve problems. And ask you, those of you that are still going to stay here, to keep that to be your North Star. I enjoy public service as a way to help people, a way to help people at scale. And I never tried to forget that. You always hear the story, 50 votes here and 17 across the hall. You could sell the roof off the Capitol, and there's a lot of power in that. And we can use that power to help people, or we can use it to help hurt people. And I tried to use mine to help people as much as I could. And one important thing I learned up here was you don't need permission to lead. We're all our own person up here. We all can lift ourselves up, as Heidi mentioned, in the storm. I kept looking around for people to lead and things to happen, and just things weren't happening. So I just felt like, things need to be done. And I try to take that lesson along everything I could do. But I always try to remember the first day I got down here and that feeling of walking in here and just, we can be called a lot of things, but lazy is not one of them because you have to work so hard to get down here. And I just tried to keep that feeling of walking in this door with me for forever when I was down here, and how special that was. And I always tried to be serious, prepared, diligent, and have serve with grace and humility. My mindset was always to treat this place like a workplace. Thinking about a professional workplace where and a lot of times you think about the people. The way we act and the way we treat each other. Sometimes if you did that in a real workplace, you'd be fired. The only way you can get fired here is if your constituents fire you. So I always tried to treat others as I wanted to be treated, and hope that would be in return. But I'm excited to next chapter. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward. And I don't know what's next for me, but I know I felt really called to do this, and I felt called to do something else. And I just don't know what that is yet. But I got the kind of the road of thinking about this last year. I was stuck in line at one of our functions here, waiting to get food with Eddie Weeks, our librarian, and we just had this most interesting conversation about thinking history and about this building and how we used to operate. And you think about like the desk you're sitting in, that it was the desk, and that's where you came to work every day. These rooms over here, those were the committee rooms, and how people back then used to send their best and brightest for 2 years, maybe 4 years. This wasn't a lifetime appointment. This wasn't a career. And it really stuck with me. And it got me thinking about some other stuff I want to do in my life. But one of my main goals was to come down here and leave as a better man. And I'm proud to say, knowing today, I've accomplished that. And lastly, I ran across something that came across my LinkedIn feed last week from Senator Roy Blunt, and I wanted to read that to you today. To those stepping away from elected positions this year, I offer you this thought. Your title may change, but your obligation doesn't. The country needs your experience, your judgment, your willingness to stay engaged. The work continues even when the office doesn't. That's what public service really means. Not the position you hold, but the commitment you keep. President Truman reminded us that the most important title of all was citizen. Titles don't change, responsibilities don't. God bless you. God bless the state of Tennessee. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Representative Mitchell.
Mr. Speaker, will you join us for a photo?
Chairman Faison. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I request the Sergeant at Arms escort our guest into the chamber.
Mr. Sergeant of Arms, please escort the guests to the well. Chairman Faison, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, in my time here, I've had the pleasure of watching two different Speaker of the Houses. They look through the membership and they find somebody that they believe will do a good job chairing whatever committee. And often when the Speaker chooses you, it might be out of they don't have anybody else to choose, or you got the short end of the stick. And often when we end up getting a chairmanship, we scramble to figure out everything we need to know about that committee and bills that will come in that committee. One thing about my friend Mary Littleton, from day one, when she became a chair lady, she brought to Tennessee everything that Tennessee needed when it came to children and family. It's one of the things I enjoyed doing since I've been in leadership is I'll go back to my office and I'll watch the committees. Leader Lambert does the same thing. We'll go both individually go watch committees. And I've often watched Chair Lady Littleton thinking, my goodness, she really has this incredible grasp on what's right for Tennessee. And it puts people at ease knowing that they're going to have a bill that impacts families and know that you're there. To your children, grandchildren, we are eternally grateful that you shared your mom and your grandmother with us. She has been a pure joy to so many of us in Tennessee. And I'll tell you a quick story. Over the years, when one of my friends here has a primary, I will go and get a team of people and we'll go knock doors for them. We showed up to Dixon, met Mary Littleton and her daughter, and got our marching orders where we're going to go knock and decided to meet back up at lunchtime. We got done, and I looked at Mary at lunch, and I said, Mary, there are other members in Tennessee who have way tougher primaries. You're going to win close to 80%. I'm done in Dixon County. We're leaving. And we did, and you won right at 80%. When somebody who's been elected several times has that type of reception at home, that's something to be proud of. And this body and this state has benefited greatly from your leadership, and you're loved. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, would you recognize Representative Stevens for some comments?
Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I got elected in 2022, Dawn White told me repeatedly, you have to find Mary Littleton. And every time I would see Dawn, she'd ask, have you talked to Mary yet? And I said, no, I haven't, but I am going to talk to her right away. And I'm glad I did because I've learned so much from her. She's been great help for me, a good mentor. She's provided guidance. She usually knows all the scoop. When I don't, I can go ask her for that. And I ended up staying at Capitol Towers. And each Monday night, we had a dinner group there. Mary personally took the initiative to prepare dinner for us and bring that in. And that was one of the best things that I've been involved with since I've been here because it helped me to meet people, to learn more about them personally. And that would not have been possible without Mary's drive to do that for us. And that group has morphed into a very premier dinner group on Monday nights. We're definitely going to miss having Mary with us for that. After the committee assignments were made, I ended up on Mary's committee, which was the Family and Children's Affairs Committee. And I always thought that that was a great place to be. It was very organized. She studied all the issues. She knew answers to all the questions. and she had a good agenda that she was pushing that was to benefit the children of Tennessee. And I don't know many people up here that care as much about children as Mary Littleton. She has been a ferocious advocate for children and reforming DCS and standing up for families. And we're definitely going to miss her leadership for that. Another thing that she's worked really hard on over the years is human trafficking legislation. I'm not sure that there's anybody up here that's fought harder to take on the scourge of human trafficking than Mary Littleton. Lots of bills on that, and she has definitely made a difference in that area. Mary serves on a Second Look Commission that reviews samples of severe child abuse cases to make recommendations on how to avoid those issues from happening again. She serves on our Fiscal Review Committee. She's been the chair of the Taiwan Caucus. I believe that Mary Littleton has a very distinguished legislative career. And so I want to congratulate Mary on the job well done. She's been a great friend. We're going to miss you here, but I do want to thank you for your friendship and being a good mentor to me. And I look forward to watching everything great that you do in the future. Thanks so much, Mary.
Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask that we recognize Representative Alexander for a few comments.
Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mary's been my seatmate for the past 6 years since I've been a representative. It was certainly a blessing being beside the 7-Eleven on the House chamber floor. Now that you're leaving, Mary, I might lose some weight. The first time I discovered Mary had a sense of humor was one particular day when several members got up and just said what a blessing it was to be married to their wife for 36 years or 28 years or what. It was multiple members. Mary raised her hand and the speaker called on her and she said, "I'm here to tell you I have been happily divorced for 20-some years." Mary constantly made me laugh. When I think of Mary Littleton, I think of a passage in 1 Timothy 5. It was a passage about widows, and even though Mary was not a widow, Mary has raised a beautiful family on her own, pretty much. 1 Timothy 5:10 says, "is well known for her good deeds, such as bringing up children, showing hospitality, washing the feet of the Lord's people, helping those in trouble, devoting herself to all kinds of good deeds." Mary's one such person. If you have sat on Children and Family Affairs Committee, which she chaired, you knew immediately her love for children and orphans. I was honored to be on that committee with her and see her commitment to bringing about legislation to protect the children of this state. I watched her gift of hospitality play out with all the candy on her desk, organizing her Monday night dinners for everyone that lived in the same apartment building that she did. Watching her organize women's lunches out when we got an opportunity, or even hosting lunches in her office. She's loved and respected by so many people up here. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, some people come into our lives and quickly go. Others stay for a while and leave footprints in our hearts, and we are never, ever quite the same. Mary, you've left a footprint on my heart, and I will never be the same. I wish you much joy and happiness as you go home to love on these grandbabies.
Amen. Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We recognize Leader Lamberth.
Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mary, if you don't mind, could you kind of step forward up here with me for these remarks? Oh, come on. Come here. Look, there's a reason for this, okay? So we're 2012ers, so we came in together. We've been in here for 14 years, and everybody has said really nice stuff about Mary. okay? How kind and generous and loving you are to your family, and how she's looking at me with trepidation right now, okay? And how dedicated you are to your bills, and you are. She is all of those things. She is also mortally vicious, okay? If you have not seen the mean side of Mary in this building, you have sailed under a lucky star. There is a member that was walking the dark streets of Nashville a few years ago who called me the next day and said, hey, man, I ran into Mary last night. And I said, oh, really? What were y'all out doing? He goes, well, she was approaching me, and I don't think she recognized me because she dropped her hand down and had brass knuckles on it. And I said, for real? And this member who was male said, yeah, man, I think she was going to deck me. And you were, weren't you?
He came at me.
She said he came at her first. Look, Mary, you have been a vicious fighter for your community, for your family, for children. You have made our class proud. I am proud that you are my friend. But Mary has been a force to be reckoned with here. And I've waited 14 years to tell this. You have a horrible poker face, okay? When Mary is mad at you, she gives that little, and like, it's a little like smack of her lips and a look away. And Deborah knows what I'm talking about. And from that point forward, you know you are going to lose. Like I've tried so many times to overcome it. And once you give us that little and look away, like it's on from that point forward. Can I get an amen, Deborah? I mean, like, it's just the way it is. You've done a great job. I wish you were running again. I know I spent months trying to talk you into running again. We'll try to find somebody that's even half as good as you are for this. But your family needs you and deserves you. And just so y'all know, don't argue with her, kids, okay? It's just going to turn out badly. I love you, dear.
Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my haste to honor Representative Littleton, I forgot to ask the clerk to read her resolution.
Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution.
House Joint Resolution 986 by Chairman Faison, a resolution to commend Representative Mary Littleton for her honorable and astute service to the people of Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives. Whereas it is most appropriate that the members of this General Assembly should honor those fellow legislators who have performed their duties with the utmost integrity and whose efforts during their time in office have been dedicated to providing thoughtful and exemplary service to their districts and to this great state. And whereas Representative Mary Littleton of Dixon is one such distinguished public servant who has served both her constituency and the General Assembly with honor and ability. And whereas during her tenure on Capitol Hill, Representative Littleton has been a highly influential figure in the political, social, and civic life of Cheatham and Dixon counties, and she served her constituents in numerous capacities, always working diligently at her elected duties and expending the necessary effort to understand the opposing sides of complex issues. And whereas Representative Mary Littleton has distinguished herself as a public-spirited citizen of the highest order and as an exceptional asset to the good people of the 78th House District, whom she has served as a member of the 108th through the 114th General Assemblies. And whereas throughout her service, Representative Littleton has been prominent as a dedicated and well-informed legislator who always votes her conscience. And whereas she rendered sterling service as Vice Chair of the Tennessee Republican Party and Tennessee Republican Party State Executive Committee member for the 25th District. And whereas no strangers to awards and accolades, Representative Littleton has been recognized as a Child Advocacy Center champion for children and as the Adoption Project's 2023 Legislative Champion for Adoption and Foster Care. She is also named the 2001 Statesman of the Year and the 2024 Tennessee Republican Party Legislator of the Year. And whereas throughout her outstanding career as a public servant, Representative Littleton has worked tirelessly on behalf of her constituents, bringing to her office an honorable bearing and the traditional values of hard work and common sense. And whereas Representative Mary Littleton is wholly committed to the noble precepts of public service that have earned Tennessee recognition as a volunteer state, and she should be specially recognized for her exemplary tenure in the General Assembly. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the Senate concurring, that we hereby honor Representative Mary Littleton for her meritorious service to Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives, commend her for her countless contributions and many good works and service to the citizens of the 78th House District, and extend to her our best wishes for much continued success and happiness.
Chairman Faison.
You, Mr. Speaker, members, Mr. Speaker, can we welcome our little friend, Chair Lady Littleton, to the well?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to say it has been an honor and a pleasure to serve the 78th District in this Tennessee General Assembly House. I have to say a whole lot about my family. Yes, I've been divorced 17 years, happily, but I have to say that it has taken a village for them, of my children, to help me become what I am today. So, I have to rely on them for a lot of things. Corey has to change my light bulbs because he's tall back here, but, but they all have their own little job, but they do work hard to try and keep me in place. But I have my son, Wynn, and his wife, Tanya, and his little girl, Aurora. And I have my daughter, Gabe, and her husband, Corey, and Zane, and Lakin, and Kaylee. And Kaylee was the first one to make me a Mimi, and now she's the first one to make me a grand Mimi. So we have the great grandbaby here that's 5 weeks old. So I know a lot of y'all have helped me pray for that baby. She came early and she was in the NICU for a month. So it's been a difficult challenge, but she is here today and she's going to be a great little person. I just know it. So I also have a granddaughter, Taylor, that is at home. She's in college at Hardin. She's going to graduate on the 18th, so she couldn't be here. And Macy, she had to work as well. But I think Jennifer is my other daughter, and Liz, and they get caught with me the most because they're the youngest and they have less children or no children. So it's like they get caught helping me a whole lot. Campaigns are hard. Being up here is hard, but campaigns are really hard, and they're harder on your family than they are yourself. So I think, most people don't realize that, but it is really hard on them. So also I have my friend Cheryl. She's here with us. We thought we'd put her up in the gallery by herself, but we thought we'd let her come on the floor. So then we have Christian over here. He's been my assistant for a couple of years, and I've challenged him and realized that he's probably the smartest person up here, and he's put up with a whole lot with me, that's for sure. But we've learned to work really well together, and we've produced, I think, some good bills. Then I have Deborah, my longtime friend. We served in the SEC together. It's been over 30 years, maybe 40. I was married then. But anyway, we're roommates at Capitol Towers. And then there's William. So now when I was sick in 17, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I had a very difficult time. And so I didn't want to tell anybody, but when you miss a lot of work, you have to tell somebody that you're really sick. So William would call me, at least whether I wanted him to or not, because I wanted to be left alone and just be by myself, but he would call me at least every other day and tell me, what was going on. But I think he also asked for prayers from the legislators as well. So I think he kept you a little updated, and it was a difficult time, but I'll never forget that because it really touched my heart that he called me and kept me updated and tried to keep my spirits built up. Because you're in the hospital 14 days, your spirits get pretty low. And then there's Rick and Rush. Forgive me, kids. They're my cigar buddies. But they're kind of like my bodyguards too, because I'll say, I'm going to walk here, I'm going to walk there, and they'll say, no, we'll go with you. So they're kind of not my bodyguards, but my good friends. And sorry, girls. So then I have my Monday night dinner group, which is Renee, Rick, Esther, Iris, and Rush, and Stephen. We talked about that. And that's been a lot to us too. We go out to different places on Monday night, and we try to ask a different member to come and visit with us when they can. So we'll get you next, Doggett. But anyway, we've just built a good relationship, and they've assured me that I can come back next year on Monday nights and have dinner with them. And now I'm beginning to wonder about all this food, why I haven't lost weight. I just seem to keep gaining because everything I seem to involve myself around is food. I think I've become my grandmother. So I want to borrow something from Bud. And no, I haven't been dreaming of heaven or doors or anything. But I want to say that I think the challenge with the human trafficking and child abuse, I hope that's something that you guys will continue to work on. There's still a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of abused children out there. And I know when I first came, Deborah and Dawn and I carried the first human trafficking bills in a while. Chairman Coley, he asked us, he said, no one else wants them. He said, but you women are so special. We didn't know no one else wanted those bills. But anyway, my first bill when I was up here was a human trafficking bill. and it came up on my memory on my Facebook. And it was if a parent sold their child for sex and were convicted, with that conviction was also the TPR, the termination of parental rights, so that that child would be protected the rest of their lives. So that's something that I hope that we all work on. And I do see coming through my committee that human trafficking is growing. You know, everybody wants those bills now because they see how important it is. And also see some of the first bills that when I came here that I really thought was great bills, and we were going through that Brian B. lawsuit, and they'd say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. But now I see those same bills 10, 12, 13 years later coming through my committee. And I think I tried to do that in 2013, 14. But now I see that the laws have changed and that we're stronger as a legislative body. And those bills have actually passed now. And they mean a lot. They mean a lot to our families and our children. And it'll help make the world a safer place. So now I want to borrow from Chairman Moon. I want to say that my family is here. Most of them are here today, my whole family. So I love you, and I love you a lot, and we are family. But you are my family as well on this side, and I love you guys too. So with that, Speaker, would you come down for a picture, please?
Here, here. You did great. You went under.
Chairman Clemens, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request the Sergeant at Arms escort our guests into the chamber.
Minister Sergeant at Arms, please escort the guests to the well. Chairman Clemens, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request that the clerk read the resolution.
Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution.
House Joint Resolution 1054, a resolution to commend Representative Johnny Shaw for his honorable and distinguished service to the people of Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives. Whereas it is most appropriate that the members of this General Assembly should honor those fellow legislators who have performed their duties with the utmost integrity and whose efforts during their time in office have been dedicated to providing thoughtful and exemplary service to their districts and to this great state. And whereas Representative Johnny Shaw of Oliver is one such distinguished public servant who has served both his constituency and this legislative body with honor and ability. And whereas during his tenure on Capitol Hill, Representative Shaw has been a highly influential figure in the political, social, and civic life of Hardeman, Haywood, and Madison counties. And he has served his constituents in numerous capacities, always working diligently at his elected duties and expending the necessary effort to understand the opposing sides of complex issues. And whereas Johnny Shaw has distinguished himself as a public-spirited citizen of the highest order and as an exceptional asset to the good people of the 80th House District, whom he has represented as a member of the 102nd through the 114th General Assemblies. And whereas throughout his service, Representative Shaw has been a prominent and dedicated and well-informed legislator who always votes his conscience. And whereas Representative Shaw has been recognized with numerous honors and distinctions for his leadership and service. And whereas in 1987, Representative Shaw and his wife Opal founded Shaw Broadcasting Company, LLC, which acquired WBOL AM and later established WOJG FM in Bolivar. He has also faithfully served as a minister of St. John Missionary Baptist Church in Stanton for many years. And whereas Representative Shaw is wholly committed to the noble precepts of public service that have earned Tennessee recognition as a volunteer state, and he should be specially recognized for his exemplary tenure in the General Assembly. Now, therefore, be resolved by the House of Representatives, the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the Senate concurring, that we hereby honor Representative Johnny Shaw for his meritorious service to Tennessee as a member of the House of Representatives, commend him for his countless contributions and many good works in the service of the citizens of the 80th House District, and extend to him our best wishes for much continued success and happiness.
Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been really dreading this day and dreading the day that Representative Shaw walks out of this building for the last time as a member of this body. Representative Shaw has been a tremendous role model to me, a calming presence, not only in this body, but within the House Democratic Caucus. He obviously represents a rural part of Tennessee. As someone who grew up in rural Tennessee on a farm, it's always been very comforting for me to have somebody within our caucus who truly spoke on behalf and represented rural Tennessee very well. I can't thank Representative Shaw enough for being a role model to me, a leader within our caucus, and a tremendous asset to every family in the state of Tennessee, not just within his district, that he has ably represented longer than most of us have been alive, I think. Representative Towns, Representative Miller not included, of course. I want to thank the senators who came over, Senator Sarah Kyle, Senator Ramesh Akbari, Senator London Lamar. Thank you all for coming over here today and joining us in this celebration. And finally, not only do I want to thank Representative Shaw for his longtime leadership and service to the people of the state of Tennessee, I want to thank his family. Thank you for letting us borrow and have your husband, your father, your family member for so long, because it is a commitment. And I just want to thank you all from the bottom of all of our heart. I speak on behalf of every member of this body, the other 98 members, that your Representative Shaw has been a tremendous asset to us and a big value to the people of Tennessee. So thank you so much. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to hand it over to my good friend, Representative Jesse Chisholm.
Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, sometimes in this work, we get weary in our well-doing because a lot of our job is taking the blame. And, sometimes we have those days when we don't feel like we're good at what we're doing. We think people don't care. And I was having one of those days one day, and Representative Shaw caught me. I was trying to smile through it, but he saw through it, and he asked me to go get a cup of coffee with him. And when we had that cup of coffee, he gave me a lot of gems that has made me not only a better legislator, but a better man. And Representative Shaw, I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you for your calm presence. Thank you for the jokes. Thank you for almost getting us in the quad over there in a whole lot of trouble. And I just want to thank you for everything that you are to the state of Tennessee. So with that, I can't wait to meet you at the farm and watch on your John Deere and have another cup of coffee with you so you can continue to pour into me as you have so far. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize Leader Camper.
Leader Camper.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. I want to recognize Senator Ackberry.
Senator Ackberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and certainly thank you, Chairman Chisholm. Okay. Sorry. I had the pleasure to be able to serve with Representative Shaw when I was a member of the House. And I'll tell you, I do not know someone who is more firm in their convictions, strong in their beliefs, and able to really explain it in a way that appeals to the average person. Like, he is a preacher, but he's one who lives it in every aspect of his life. He's been an excellent legislative partner. I know that if Representative Shaw is on it, it's going to pass for the most part. So I'm going to miss that. My success rate's going to go down. But honestly, I'm just grateful to Miss Opal, to his family, for the tremendous sacrifice that they've made for the time that he's been in this General Assembly. And we're going to miss your voice, certainly. I'm going to miss your common sense, decision-making, and everything that you've brought to this General Assembly. And, you're from West Tennessee, so that means you're always going to be all right with me. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize our chaplain, Mr. Bill Gissel.
Yes, sir. He's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I was asked to share today, last week, I spent a lot of time reflecting on what I thought it was that Representative Shaw really embodied. Was sitting in church Sunday morning, pastor shared a verse, and I was stunned. I said, that encapsulates Johnny Shaw. So hope this will be a blessing to you because I wrote it while the pastor was preaching. 1 Peter 1:22 says, now that you have purified yourselves by obeying the truth so that you have sincere love for each other, love one another deeply from the heart. The first love in that passage is the one we're familiar with, the Greek word phileo. It's a brotherly love. We often say that one to another, love you, brother. The second one, though, is the deeper love, it's agape. And that so encapsulated Johnny Shaw. I've had the privilege to know and watch him here in this place for the last dozen years. He became my friend and was one of the first people to tell me that ministry to legislators makes a difference. I realized that he was a man who did not need affirmation of himself, but constantly looked to the concerns of others. I found that this was the scope of his whole life and his outlook. Then I began to hear him share in one context after another, and with me personally, the core commitment of his life. He said, and you've heard this, I learned to love those who would not love me back. That's a different way to say it, and it's deeper. As a pastor, that resonated with me. Almost every pastor I know has experienced betrayal and oftentimes outright subversive actions against them. You're probably glad that doesn't happen to legislators. But Johnny told me that he learned early in his ministry that serving people would require loving them even when they were actively disliking him. That's what made him such an effective legislator. He didn't act in defiance. He acted in love, and that allowed him to present legislation he valued and vote according to his values. But the thing that affected me most was to sit with him in his office and realize that this man across the desk from me had experienced oppression and hatred at a level I'll never know. and he had learned not to let justice or revenge or even respect be his driving motivation. It was love. In this, he is one of the people who is most worthy of emulation, and one who will move on from here and one day be remembered as a hero to many. And I'll be one of those.
Representative Chisholm.
Mr. Speaker, if I could recognize Mr. Whit Adams.
He is recognized.
I always get to follow the speaker, minister. I'm a broadcaster. I ran the association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, for 33 years. I was a lobbyist all that time. I worked out at Channel 4, and we saw him first. He was our Distinguished Service Award recipient in 2011. He sat on our board for many years. He was the perfect broadcaster. From a small rural town in West Tennessee, he listened to his listeners, and he brought to you what they thought, what they said, what they wanted. And you were good to them. You were good to our federally licensed broadcasters. We enjoyed our time down here, and we're so proud of Johnny Shaw and what he's done and what he's meant to our industry and to this place. Thank you, Johnny Shaw.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize Representative Miller.
Representative Miller.
Thank you. The right, the representative, the businessman, Johnny Shaw. I have somewhat of an advantage, more so than the rest of you all, because I've had the opportunity, the pleasure to sit by him for several years. And he's been somewhat of a spiritual guidance. And that's real. Because as someone mentioned, this can become very frustrating from time to time being on this floor. And from time to time, I may have a potty mouth, have a lot of choice words. I won't repeat those. But I can look at Johnny, and he's always cool, calm, collective. And when I look at him, I say to myself, Larry, don't say that. You're sitting next to this minister, this pastor. And from time to time, he wears so many hats. Sometimes it can be a little confusing, especially when we look on the board. When I think he's going to vote red, it's green. And when I think it's going to be green, it's red. But I trust him. I trust him to the point now that I'm beginning to vote the way he's voting. Even before I think about it, the question is, Johnny, what do you think about this? He may tell me, he may not. He votes, I vote, because I trust him. I trust him because I can tell you this. The last 20 years, if you can think of anything that is good about this state, financially, morally, you name it, educationally, Johnny Shaw has had his fingerprint and his thumbprint on that. And that's real. That's real because I understand sometimes people ask the question after he's gone, who cares? Who remembers? I will always remember. You don't live that far from me, Johnny. And I want to stop by. I've been trying to get him to sell me some of that 1,000 acres that he have back at home, but I haven't been able to flip him yet. But I'm coming by. I'm coming by. Thank you, Johnny. I'm going to miss you. You don't know how much I'm going to miss you because what you bring to this body, is a sense of calmness, a sense of fairness, a sense of respect. And a lot of times we're losing that. and we're losing a good one. Thank you.
Representative Chisholm.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize Leader Camper.
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members, when I decided to run for leader, Representative Shaw had already put his letter out. And I called him, went to meet with him to tell him that I wanted to run for leader. And although I knew he had already put his letter out, I felt I owed it to him to do that. And he said, well, you know, may the best person win. Whoever win, I got you. If you win, you got me. I win, I got you. We got each other. And that's been very true. You've heard from everybody else what a great legislator he is, you know, his commitment to the state and his integrity and all these things. But he's a tremendous confidant to me. He's a tremendous advisor to me. If I call on him for anything, he's there. And oftentimes, being in this position, it's lonely. You're by yourself. But Johnny would check on me like he said he would. He would call me and just see, are you doing all right? I'm doing fine. I remember when I had to do a prayer for the legislative breakfast that we do every year, the annual breakfast. And I just wasn't sure which way I wanted to go or what the Lord was telling me I needed to say to you all and the people assembled. And I called Representative Shaw. Say, hey, can you, talk to me, help me, get me ready for this momentous occasion? And he basically just said, speak from the heart. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. And he sent me to the Bible for me to do the research. And he was so right about it. He didn't just give me a scripture. He told me to speak from my heart. And you will forever be in my heart. You too, Miss Opal. I love you all. I just want you all to understand the impact he's had on me as an individual, in leadership, and probably to countless others. If he say he's going to be there for you, he's there for you. I know he has been for me. I'm going to miss you, Johnny. I'm going to miss your counsel. Well, I guess I can keep calling you. You can keep calling me because you know what I'm dealing with, but to God be the glory. We love you. We honor you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative.
Representative Chisholm.
All right, members, if you will you please help me welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, Representative Johnny Shaw.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this 114th General Assembly. Let me start by thanking my family, my wife Opal, my children. I've got 3 sons here. I thank Tracy, his wife, of course, Michelle, Reggie, got Marcus. I don't know where Reggie is. Where is he? Over there someplace. I think maybe he may have left. My sister, I want y'all to meet my baby sister, the only one of us left. Then my daughter, Rhonda, and all of my family, my friends, fellow legislators, my chairmen and speakers, and all of you, especially Mr. Speaker, you and all of my chairmen and all of the members of this House. First of all, thank you for letting me serve with you. It's been the honor of my life to serve in this legislature. And I know y'all are tired of speeches because it's been a lot of them this evening. Some will be very short. In our church, we have a motto on the wall that says, we are judged by what we finish and not by what we start. I would rather for you all to remember my character, remember my personality, remember what I said is much more important than to remember what I've done. Every day for the past 26 years that I have waken up out of my sleep and got up out of my bed, there's one word that have jumped up in my face. And that word is humility. Do you know where humility comes from? It comes from us learning who we are rather than who someone else is. And as long as I can contain, control, and remember who Johnny Shaw is, I can love the rest of you all. If I had a mic, I'd drop it right there. But since I don't have a microphone, I want you all to know that it's been an honor. And Mr. Speaker, for you, for every member of this House, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve with you. And I never saw you as being someone but who you really are. Because when I look at you today, I don't see what you were yesterday, nor do I think about what you can be tomorrow. I think about that's another brother, another sister, another human being that God made. And because God made you, and because God made me, I can love you. God bless you, and I'm dropping the mic. I have one more thing that I have to do, and thank y'all so much because I didn't pull my list out. I got to thank someone that's standing here with me because for the past 24 years, you heard it right, this young lady has been by my side. Matter of fact, she is so popular in District 80. People don't call me anymore. They call Allison. And when it's done, they meet me on the street and they tell me, thank you. And I say, for what? They said, what did my office do? Well, Allison took care of it. So all of the constituents of District 80 calls Allison now rather than calling me. And I want to thank District 80 for putting up for me for the past 26 years. And over those 26 years, the lowest I ever dropped in any one campaign was 63% because of the work that she's done and the people that have supported me over the past 26 years. So again, thank you all. Love you very much. And thank you for this day, and God bless you.
Mr. Speaker, will you join us for a picture?
Yes. Yes.
Members, we are under welcoming and honoring and announcements. Representative McCalman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if you would please welcome to my right my dear friend, my dear brother, Professor Jose Vargas. He is here visiting from Texas. Figured we would show him how a better state operates our legislatures. If you please make him feel welcome.
Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, please join me in welcoming two guests up in the gallery on the left from Ottawa, Brandon and Braden Throckmorton, small businessman. I'm a seventh grader from middle high school. Thank you.
Representative Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, please join me in honoring the 7 children who lost their lives to senseless gun violence this weekend in Louisiana. When I hear about the children whose lives were stolen in Louisiana, I don't see headlines. I see mothers, I see families forever changed. I see birthdays that will never be celebrated, hugs that will never be given, and futures that will never be lived. We say their names in our hearts because no mother
Representative Wright. Representative Wright, did I see you with your hands? Nope. All right. All right. Anyone else seeking recognition? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Speaker. And with just so much going on in our country and also the world, I just think it's really important we keep in mind children who are suffering, who are being harmed, families, whether that be obviously what happened in Louisiana, in Virginia. These are just extraordinarily difficult times across our country and across the world. And I just hope that we keep people who are suffering in mind, because every day we wake up is the worst day of someone's life. And it's important that we keep that sense of care and empathy in our hearts as we seek to serve. Thank you.
Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, please help me wish my wife of 35 years a happy birthday. She turned 58 today. And for 35 years of her life, she's been married to the best thing that ever happened, me.
Representative Jones of Unicoi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Alexander and I would just like to recognize the Milligan College disc golf team for winning the national championship. So they're around in the both male and female. Thank you.
All right. Was that everyone? Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Introduction of resolutions.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That all resolutions properly filed and introduced pursuant to Rule 17 and placed on the consent calendar or refer to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Joint Resolutions Congratulatory Memorializing.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That all Senate Joint Resolution congratulatory memorializing on that SP placed on the consent calendar pursuant to Rule number 17.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Resolutions lying over.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That all resolutions line over be referred to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Introduction of bills.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And yes, members, remarkably, there are two bills that I move for House Bills 2670, 2671 be introduced and passed on first consideration.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate bills on first consideration.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate bills 1,868, 1,926, 2,085, 2,149, 2,173, 2,265, 2,283, 2,452, 2,581, and 2,613 transmitted, but the Senate be held on the next pending third consideration of the companion House bills.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate bills on second consideration. House bills on second consideration.
Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Bill 2,669 be passed on second consideration and be held on the desk referred to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Petitions, memorials, reports from standing committees, reports from select committees, calendars. Mr. Speaker, the House has a consent calendar.
Chair Lay Moody, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of the consent calendar on third and final consideration in keeping with Rule 50.
Chair Lady moves passage of the consent calendar, properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, any objections been filed?
Item 26, Mr. Speaker. Item 26, House Joint Resolution 1479 has been objected to by Representative Jones and Davis.
All right, anyone seeking recognition on the consent calendar? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting on the consent calendar. All members in favor vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Ms. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 96, no nays.
Having received the constitutional majority, I declare the consent calendar passed by objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the House has a regular calendar dated Monday, April 20th.
Call the first bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 1932 by Chairman Vaughn, relative procedure for redemption of property. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Chairman Vaughn, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform Senate Bill 1983.
Chairman Vaughn moves to substitute and conform Senate Bill 1983 without objection. So ordered. Chairman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 1983 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Vaughn moves passage of Senate Bill 1983 on third and final consideration. Properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, call the first amendment.
Mr. Speaker, no amendments filed.
Chairman Vaughn, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I forgive whoever it was that bumped me off the consent calendar, and I renew my motion.
Agape. It was agape. I'm sure it was. Chairman Vaughn renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none. All those in favor of Senate Bill 1983 vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 81, 10 nays, 3 present, not voting.
Senate Bill 1983 having received a constitutional majority, I hereby declare it passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Joint Resolution 618 by Chair Lady Haynes, a resolution proposed amendment to Article 6, Section 4 of the Constitution of Tennessee regarding the residency requirements for judges.
Shirley Haynes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that the clerk read SJR 618 for its second reading.
Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution 618, a resolution to propose an amendment to Article 6, Section 4 of the Constitution of Tennessee regarding the residency requirements for judges. Be it resolved by the Senate of the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the House of Representatives concurring, that a majority of all the members of each House concurring, as shown by the yeas and nays entered on their journals, that it is proposed that Article 6, Section 4 of the Constitution of Tennessee be amended by deleting the following language. Every judge of such courts shall be 30 years of age and shall before his election have been a resident of the state for 5 years and of the circuit or district 1 year, and substituting instead the following. Every judge of such courts shall be 30 years of age and shall before his election have been a resident of the state for 5 years and a resident of a county of the respective circuit or district to which the judge is to be assigned for 1 year. Be it further resolved that the foregoing amendment be referred to the 115th General Assembly, and that this resolution proposing such amendment be published by the Secretary of State in accordance with Article 11, Section 3 of the Constitution of Tennessee, by posting such amendment on the official website of the Secretary of State and on the official website of the General Assembly. Be it further resolved that the Clerk of the Senate is directed to deliver copies of this resolution to the Secretary of State, with this final resolving clause being deleted from such copies.
Shirley Hilton Haynes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that SJR 618 be set for its third and final reading on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026.
Without objection, so ordered. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2219 by Representative Garrett and others relative to immigration.
Representative Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of House Bill 2219 on third and final consideration.
Representative Garrett moves passage by second. Mr. Clerk, call it First Amendment.
House State and Local Government Committee Amendment Number 1.
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to withdraw.
Without objection, committee amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House State and Local Government Committee Amendment number 2.
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Move to adopt.
Chairman Crawford moves adoption. Committee amendment number 2, properly seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of committee amendment number 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Amendment 3 by Representative Jones and Davidson. Mr. Speaker, it was timely filed.
Representative Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This just does two things, it's very basic things. One, I think it gives some clarity and allows some thoughtful consideration as to whether we're going to force this unfunded mandate on our local governments. And so the first thing it does is it changes must to may to make this legislation permissive. I believe that during the special session, we all were here. We offered incentives for local governments to be a part of this program. I'm offering a lot of money, and I think a lot of them declined because they did not have the financial wherewithal to be able to fund this and to be able to afford entering into these agreements and the liability that they would also include. Here in my own county, I think some of you all remember, there's a woman who was pregnant and was shackled, who was an immigrant, and that was a very costly lawsuit. And so this is something just to, again, allow the local governments to make the determination if they want to be a part of this program. Not just my county, but some of these rural counties don't have the capacity and the staffing available to be in these agreements. And so that's the first thing. And then the second part of this amendment is just to remove the financial penalty. So like, we don't want to penalize financially counties for trying to do the best they can. And some of them cannot be a part of this. You know, I think that this is abhorrent personally, but I think that there are some really very valid concerns from rural counties, from your counties, where they can't afford this to be a part of this program. And they don't want to, they're not doing it because they disagree with the policies, I guess, but they're doing it because they just financially cannot do it. And so I hope that Representative Garrett will take that into consideration. Why is it that we've already offered economic incentives and half the counties in the state have declined them? It's because there's a very valid concern. So now this is forcing, Representative Garrett's legislation is forcing them to be a part of this program, not taking that into consideration. I think you all should just continue to do your economic incentives. You have that already. Make this legislation permissive and allow it to be up to local control whether they want to be a part of this program or not. And I hope Representative Garrett, if this amendment is not considered, will respond to these very valid concerns that we've heard across the state, from urban to suburban to rural counties. And so with that, I move for consideration of this amendment and adoption.
Representative Jones moves adoption of amendment number 3, party seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Leader Lamberth, you recognize.
Move previous question on the amendment.
Previous question been called. Is there objection? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 3, vote aye. When the bell rings, those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 22, 72 nays.
Let the journal reflect Representative McKenzie's excuse. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk. Oh, sorry, amendment number 3 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Amendment 4 by Representative Salinas. Mr. Speaker, it was not timely filed.
Representative Salinas, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What my amendment does is it renames this bill the Decreasing Safety for All Act of 2026. The reason why I want to rename this is because it makes communities, all communities, scared to report crime because they are scared that they themselves or their loved ones would be turned over to ICE. So when people are scared, crime goes unreported, including for victims of trafficking. It is the responsibility of sheriff's departments and MPD and police departments to file for U&T visas. Those are done for people that have endured crimes against them, including trafficking, which I know this body cares a lot about. So with this bill, what this names it names it accurately, which is decreasing safety for all our communities. And with that, I move for consideration.
Representative Salinas moves for consideration. You've heard the motion, probably seconded. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 4. All those in favor of considering amendment number 4, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 21, 75 nays.
In accordance with Rule 60B, having failed to receive the necessary 2/3 vote, the motion to consider amendment number 4 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Amendment 5 by Representative Salinas. Mr. Speaker, it was not timely filed.
Representative Salinas, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a transparency amendment. It would require for the agency to submit reports on every January 31st to both bodies as well as the governor's office. What would be included in this report would be the equipment paid, overtime paid, hiring, and also a breakout of allocations of funding. The Division of Labor related to immigration enforcement, traffic stop data broken out by demographics and infraction, jail demographic data broken out by crime category, including ICE holds. So this amendment puts some transparency. Let's not forget that it is government funding that is being put into these, in carrying out these bills. So the people of Tennessee deserve to know how and deserve to have these breakdowns for transparency reasons. And with that, I move for adoption.
Consideration. Thank you. You've heard the motion, probably seconded. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 5. All those in favor of considering amendment 5, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member votes, anyone wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 21, 74 nays.
In accordance with Rule 60B, having failed to receive the necessary 2/3 vote, the motion to consider amendment number 5 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 2219, members, requires local law enforcement to comply with court orders. This bill simply strengthens our immigration enforcement through long-term strategic partnership between our sheriffs and the federal government to keep our counties and our communities safe. This is a reporting and enforcement piece of legislation which requires the local sheriffs to enter into the 287G program. Sheriffs of each county may choose to enter into 4 different available programs: jail enforcement, warrant service task force, or tribal task force. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I renew my motion.
Representative Garrett renews his motion. Representative Holsey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry I'm slow on the bill. It never came through any committee that I was on. I do have some questions, though. I'm reading out of the Tennessee State Constitution, Article 1, Section 24. Deals with military when the military's in a county. Now, I understand that ICE is not military, but they are federal. And it ends up in saying this. It says, in that all cases, the military shall be kept in strict subordination to the civil authority. I have a couple of questions. If you have a sheriff that doesn't want to participate in this program, we're going to beat him over the head till he does and say he can't have grant money or all the rest of this. But my real trouble is this. The boys who wrote this in this Constitution believed that a sheriff was the last line of defense against tyranny from the federal government. If it comes down to a sheriff has an opinion and whoever controls ICE has a differing opinion, whose opinion conquers? Is it like this Tennessee Constitution says, and the civil authority has the last say, or does the supervisor of ICE have the last say?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Holtz, it's a good question. Under 287G is a federal law, federal program that just interacts and cooperates with each other. I'm sure if there is a disagreement between what the federal law says for cooperating and enforcement current federal or state law, hopefully there will not be some sort of disagreement between how they're reading the federal laws versus what our Tennessee laws to simply report that they have an illegal alien in their custody. That's what these arrangements do. They just simply say, what do we do? Because we have counties, we have some places in Tennessee that's not abiding by the federal Constitution, that's not abiding by the Tennessee Constitution by not doing their job for law enforcement in this state. So all this is doing is saying you need to have the ability under 287G to delegate the authority to enforce the immigration laws. So if that delegation is given to the sheriff, it would be the sheriff that most likely will be the one that's making the decisions because that authority is delegated under the 287G program to the sheriff.
Representative Holsey.
One more question, I'll leave you alone. Have you read this memorandum of understanding and you see or know of anything in there that's in conflict of the sheriff not remaining the chief law enforcement officer of the county?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Representative Holsey. I cannot say that I have read each memorandum that might be between the sheriff and the federal government, but I do not believe that when you delegate that authority under the federal statute or 287G, that the sheriff is not in control of that destiny, of that enforcement under 287G.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think it's important to note that when there was grant funding in the special session and we made this permissive for people to choose, only about half of the counties chose to do this. And what I'm hearing a lot of is that it's going to really put a struggle. This is an unfunded mandate. The funding they got was not enough. Our county sheriff's departments are pretty busy already. But this is going to be an unfunded mandate and going to have so many costs that are not defined in this legislation. That is the fear that I am hearing. And as someone else mentioned earlier, if something happens in that county lockup, your county is going to be liable for the cost of the lawsuit. Does that not concern you at all?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The fiscal note in this is not significant. And if there is any holding of a person under the 287G program, the locals do get reimbursed by the federal government for that holding. But let's not keep our eye off the ball here. What we're talking about are lives. What we're talking about are over 21,000 crimes that were committed just last year in 2025 by illegal aliens, over 11,000 individuals. 41 murders, several child rapes, over 2,100 violent crimes, 145 sexual offenses, 40 aggravated kidnappings in 2025. While my friend from Knoxville is worried about an unfunded mandate coming from where? What cost is it? What's the cost of one life? What's the cost of law enforcement simply doing their jobs? Would it matter? Some don't. Some look at this as an issue that shouldn't exist. We shouldn't even worry about communicating with law enforcement across every locality, both federal, state, and local, to make sure we keep Tennesseans safe. Our critics from the other side want to keep their eye off the ball and not understand what this legislation, what the purpose of what we're trying to do here to make sure we don't have a repeat of these statistics that we had in 2025, where we're going to have in 2026 or beyond, where we have people that aren't supposed to be here killing Tennesseans, killing your kids, hurting Tennesseans. We shouldn't have that. It shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't even have to have this legislation to make sure we enforce the immigration laws that we have in this state and in this country. But it's absolutely necessary that we do that.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, those numbers were believed to be immigrants, not proven to be immigrants. We took a lot of license with that data. And those are also not convictions. Those are charges. There's a whole lot of problems in all of that data. We all know it. We know that factually that data is not solid. But the reality is every single person deserves due process. And every single county needs to be able to keep their community safe. And we just saw that in Memphis, of all the people arrested, only 2% were criminals. That's not who they're arresting. Stop pretending that. We've always been able to arrest the violent criminals, and we have, and charge them. We are talking about people hard at work supporting their families. And so the reality is you are putting undue cost and burdens. How can this bill not have a fiscal note? That's a lie. I mean, the fiscal note is not real. So what I'm telling you is there are folks out there who do not want to do this. They do not see that this is value, because they're not talking about arresting criminals. They're already doing that. We know that. Let's have some honesty here.
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I find it interesting that representative from Knoxville would say that, again, it's an unfunded mandate. It's a lie that it's a fiscal note when the Knoxville's been a part of this program since 2017. They've been coordinating and working under the 287G program in her home county, and she's not seeing things that would be an out-of-control spending for what's happening in Knoxville or Knox County. So this legislation is designed to protect Tennesseans.
Representative Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to the sponsor, you said that in this, the amendment that we put on here, there are 4 models that the local sheriff can choose from. They don't have to do all 4 or participate in all 4 of those programs. It's also been said that a lot of our jails, we are still missing some that are participating in the 287G program. However, it's something that a lot of our local sheriffs, even before getting into this program, and the ones that haven't, they still do cooperate with immigration officials. When they have an individual that has come in, that has been arrested, that comes into jail, if they can't determine identifiable markers for that individual, social security number, date of birth, name, address, those things, they don't have a driver's license, they're looking through this information, they're going to reach out to immigration to get that information. Sometimes they will put what is called a detainer on that individual. They will ask the local sheriff to hold that individual for 48 hours. So I do think that this is perfectly fine. You're going to see more jails opt into this program because they get access to a database where they can look for this information to assess those that have come in. They don't have to go out and serve administrative warrants. They don't have to join the task force. These decisions are ultimately made and left up to the sheriff of that county. And so I feel like this, in the way that it is, the posture we have it here, this is a very good deal for our state, for Tennessee, an effort to help keep the citizens that we come here to represent and to keep safe. We'll keep them safe. And so thank you for your work on this, and look forward to voting for it.
Representative Garrett.
Thank you for your comments.
Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move previous question.
There's objection. We're on the board. All those in favor of previous question vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 74, 22 nays.
Previous question prevails. We're voting. All those in favor of House Bill 2219 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 71, 25 nays.
House Bill 2219 having received a constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. Motion to reconsider is taken. Call up next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2466 for Chair Lady Rudder and others relative to District Attorneys General.
Representative Rudder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage for House Bill 2466 on third and final consideration.
Chair Lady Rudder moves passage. Bobby second. Mr. Clerk, call First Amendment.
House Judiciary Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman Farmer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to adopt.
Chairman Farmer moves adoption of Committee Amendment number 1. Bobby second. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of Committee Amendment number 1 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chair Lady Rudder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill updates reporting requirements for DAs and provides 3 ways for the clerks to give information to the district attorney generals. I renew my motion.
Chair Lady Rudder renews her motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this bill came through my committee and then went back and looked at it and cross-referenced the code and was able to see that actually this is a much more consequential bill. It's going to require the data to be reported that would verify lawful presence in the United States for anybody charged or convicted of a crime. So I just caution the members, this is a pretty huge bill. I know it was presented as a pretty minor thing, but this actually would involve reporting the legal status of those citizens, of those residents of our state in particular cases. And there would be other issues involved with this bill. So I just make sure people are aware of that before they vote. Happy to answer any question. If that's really my question, but if you want to respond, I'm happy to have a conversation about that.
Chair Roder.
Well, was there a question or was that just a statement?
Representative Powell.
Is that the real point of the bill? Because that's the, as I read through it, that seems to be the main focus of the bill.
Chair Roder.
This bill just updates the reporting requirements to exclude terms which are not relevant in Tennessee. The clerks are in agreement with the amended version of the bill. The clerks of the court or exercising criminal jurisdiction should provide the information necessary for the district attorney generals to comply with the requirements of the reporting statutes. That's what the bill does.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of House Bill 2466 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 79, 16 nays, one present, not voting.
House Bill 2466, having received a constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2402 by Representative Reeves and others relative to workers responding to emergency declarations. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Representative Reeves, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to SB 2658.
Representative Reeves moves substitute and conform to Senate Bill 2658, probably seconded without objection. So ordered. Representative Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of SB 2658 on third and final consideration.
Representative Reeves moves passage of Senate Bill 2658 on third and final consideration, probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, call for First Amendment.
House State and Local Government Committee Amendment number 1. It's the same as Senate Amendment number 1.
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Move to withdraw.
Without objection, Committee Amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Judiciary Committee Amendment number 1 filed as House Amendment 2.
Chairman Farmer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to adopt.
Chairman Farmer moves adoption. Committee Amendment number 2, probably seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of Committee Amendment number 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Reeves, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, during the recent ice storm, thousands of Tennesseans lost power. Roads were dangerous. Temperatures were life-threatening. And while most people were told to stay home, our utility line workers were told to go out, and they worked in freezing rains and hazardous conditions to restore electricity to our homes and our hospitals and our water system. And this bill simply recognizes that reality during declared weather emergencies, and it ensures that those line workers can access restricted areas to restore power. It includes them in the definition of first responders for assault protections during those emergencies and during declared weather emergencies, and provides limited good faith civil immunity while performing restoration work. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Representative Reeves renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative McCalman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to my dear friend and colleague from the beautiful portion of Western Williamson County. This is an amazing bill, and thank you for bringing it. Our linemen truly deserve all the appreciation that they can get, because they are truly putting their lives on the line while they're restoring ours to get our infrastructure back up and running. So thank you for this bill. Look forward to voting for it.
Representative Reeves.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 2658 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 89, 2 nays, 4 present, not voting.
Senate Bill 2658 having received a constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. The motion for consideration table. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2614 by Representative Jones of Unicoi, relative to state government.
Representative Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of HB 2614 on third and final consideration.
Representative Jones moves passage following section. Mr. Clerk, call for First Amendment.
House naming and designating committee amendment number 1.
Chairman Bolso, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to adopt and defer to the sponsor for further explanation.
Chairman Bolso moves adoption of committee amendment number 1. Probably seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of committee amendment number 1 say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill actually impacts Rome Mountain, Tennessee, which is in Carter County. And what this bill will do is it will name the rhododendron and philodendron festivals of Rome Mountain are designated the official rhododendron and philodendron festivals of Tennessee. The reason for this is as we have been, Rome Mountain was destructive with the flood. And when we did this, this body did this years ago for the outdoor drama that was in Carter County. It was a huge economic driver. We see that this can be a huge economic driver for that community, bringing much needed revenue dollars back into that community after the flood. With that, I renew my motion.
Representative Jones renews her motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of House Bill 2614 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Hey, Ms. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 96, no nays.
House Bill 2614 having received constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. Most reconsider table. Leader Lamberth, for what purpose? Leader Lamberth, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to take up item 39 on Thursday's regular calendar at this time.
So, Mr. Clerk, call up next bill.
Item 39 on Thursday's calendar, House Bill 2507 by Representative Garrett and others related to airport authorities. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Representative Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to Senate Bill 2473.
Representative Garrett moves to substitute and conform Senate Bill 2473. Probably seconded with objection. So ordered. Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 2473 on third and final consideration.
Representative Garrett moves passage of Senate Bill 2473 on third and final consideration. Probably seconded. Ms. Clerk, call First Amendment.
House Transportation Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move to withdraw.
Without objection, Committee Amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Transportation Committee Amendment number 2.
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Amendment, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Amendment rewrites the bill. Move to adopt.
Chairman Howell moves adoption of Committee Amendment number 2. Probably seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of Committee Amendment number 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 2507 members it includes regional-based appointments. It reconstitutes and amends the airports for our metropolitan airports and our regional airports, as it will ensure that all airport matters are handled by a board representing the area the airport serves, not just where the airport is actually located. It strengthens the state's regional metropolitan airports and focuses on Tennessee's success, safety, and security of our airports. So it creates a statewide airport authority board to replace the existing outdated authority boards and instead promote statewide governance of our airports across this state. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I renew my motion.
Representative Garrett renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We had two pretty substantial amendments moved through the committee process. Can you explain how this Senate amendment differs from the two that moved through the House?
Chairman, Representative Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment is similar to what traveled through our committee system. There's real no substantive difference between the two.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Which amendment would that be? House Amendment 1 or House Amendment 2?
Representative Garrett.
It'd be House Amendment 2.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So how many airports would be governed by this, and which airports would those be?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The 5 airports would be Memphis, Nashville, Tri-Cities, Knoxville, and Chattanooga.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So you referenced the region that's being served by these airports, and I know the Tri-Cities sits right on the border. Are we going to have people from Virginia or North Carolina on this board? So are we going to have people from Georgia serving on the Chattanooga board, or is it just Tennessee residents?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The actual language of the bill governs that and states that, and I believe there are some from Virginia that will be relative to the Tri-Cities airport.
Chairman
But
Clemens.
there'll still be, excuse me,
I'm sorry, Representative Garrett. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but there'll still be those that serve from Tennessee on that particular airport as well, Chairman Clemens.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you. So we are going to be responsible for appointing people from Virginia, Arkansas, and Georgia to these boards and these regional authorities. Is that what I'm hearing?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not exactly. The authority itself has the ability to appoint those local members. So the actual authority itself will be appointing those local members. Only part of the board will be appointed by the Speaker of the House, the Speaker of the Senate, and the Governor. The other portion of the boards, as is described explicitly in the legislation, will be appointing those local type appointments that you're referencing. It'll be the actually authority for each of the 5 airport authorities that'll be making those local appointments.
Chairman Clemens.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so the current boards that are governing these authorities, I know we've got dueling boards in Nashville. We've taken legal action has been taken due to previous efforts to take over the BNA board. With regard to the individuals placed on those boards, what are going to be the leading considerations? Are there any special requirements, experience, institutional knowledge, or otherwise?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, there's actually the qualifications that would be pertinent to serving on an airport and board that include an engineering or architecture major, somebody that may be practicing law in this area, someone that's familiar with the industry, the business, or the commerce, public safety, someone that knows about aviation, someone that knows about finance. So the board's makeup needs to make sure they have the wherewithal and issues that relate to operating an airport, especially the airports of this size in Tennessee, and how much and many people come here due to the good things that we're doing here in the Tennessee legislature. So those are some of the individual professions that will be part of this board.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so there are current boards out there governing all these, and they're local boards, generally speaking, people serving on these airport authorities right now and boards. Can you elaborate on which airport authority wanted the state to take these over and that wanted to have this regional representation? Which of the airport authorities actually asked for this, if any, and if none, then what's the real genesis or purpose of this legislation? Because I haven't heard any real outcry from Tennesseans about my airport's been run poorly or so forth. So can you elaborate on that?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've not had one person from either the airport authority or the president and CEO of either airport authority say that they are actually against the piece of legislation. What I would say is the overriding emphasis about this piece of legislation, since we have 5 airports, they're not solely funded by the locality where the airport is located. They're funded entirely by all Tennesseans. Let me walk that back. I don't want to give the idea that the entire airport budgets are entirely funded by Tennesseans, but at least this year alone, we have a $50 million appropriation for the regional airports. You multiply that times the years that we've had these airports, these are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of Tennesseans that go into this airport. So they're not simply funded by only the footprint where the airport lies. As we all are aware, lots and lots of people across this Middle Tennessee region uses the Nashville airport, a lot more than just Davidson County alone. So that's why this is important to make sure that these airports are represented by the entire state.
Representative Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just following up. We have spent the last several years, we have spent hundreds of millions of dollars of the taxpayers' dollars in reoccurring revenue to these 5 airports, not including what we're doing at general aviation airports. The reason why this bill is so important is because the citizens who are investing these 125 million new recurring, I might add, this year, these monies are the state's monies that the citizens have entrusted us to give to these airports so that they can issue bonds, which I think we had a bill this year in order to allow them to issue those bonds, because these recurring revenues allow them to draw down hundreds of millions of dollars of additional revenues from the federal government. So when you drive by one of these big 5 airports, whether it's in Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, or the Tri-Cities, what you're seeing is the state's investment into these programs. The reason why we want people on the board is because we need a voice on these boards to represent the interests of the citizens of the state of Tennessee. I really appreciate your bill. I think it's the right thing. I wish we had done this 4 years ago, because this is the best way for us to manage these airports and make sure the citizens' voice are heard on them. Thank you.
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just for the record, it only affects the ones you named in the bill. It does not affect the other airports. If I'm understanding, they will remain and function as they are today.
Representative Garrett.
That's right. Just the 5 main airports, metropolitan and the regional airports, or general aviation airports, are unaffected.
Representative Shaw. Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, I'm trying to understand. I'm dealing with Chattanooga. What is it we have done to you or someone of the mindset you have that you want to destroy?
You're good, sir. Keep
Okay. You would want to destroy something that is working. I haven't heard anything in regards to mismanagement. I haven't heard anything about the quality of the board members that we have. And why is it necessary to have an overseer board that may not have really the interests or concerns that we have in our area? Would you elaborate on that for me, please?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I kind of reject the premise of your question to say the motivation is because there's something being handled improperly, or that we're going to destroy something that receives yours, mine, everyone in this room, and every one of our constituents' tax dollars to help fund the operations of these particular airports, when in Chattanooga or in Hamilton County, they are appointed by that locale only, right? There are more people than just Chattanoogans or Hamilton County residents that use that particular airport. And there's usually no funding coming from that particular locale. Here in Nashville, there's no metropolitan Davidson County dollars going to the airport. That's usually across the board. And so it's everyone's interest to make sure everyone is represented on these boards, to make sure all Tennesseans have a voice on the board. They currently do not. They are currently appointed by the locales that have no funding mechanism for these particular pieces of for the airport authority. So it's not just something that we believe that there is a need to fix or a need to replace, but there is a need to make sure that Tennessee taxpayer dollars are spent wisely, and that every taxpayer through this body, the body across the hall, and our governor has a voice sitting on those boards, because right now they don't.
Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm understanding from you that the quality of the board members we have, where there's no problem, is lacking, in that it's not someone who has been put together by the leadership of the state. My contention to you is that we pay taxes in Chattanooga, Hamilton County, just like everybody else. But you're going to dismantle something that is working. And I have to ask, for what purpose?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Hakeem, we're not dismantling anything. And so I can't simply respond to what you believe is happening by simply reconstituting a board that will be constituted from places for all Tennesseans, since all Tennessee's money go to help these authorities. I don't believe that's dismantling anything. I believe that's being a responsible, transparent way that we can account for the Tennessee tax dollar and the Tennessee taxpayer to make sure these boards reflect where the money is coming from. And the money is coming from all Tennesseans. So you're asking a question. You also reference in your comments in that that question about those that are on the board. I cannot stand here and tell you that I know everybody that is appointed to these boards. And to be honest with you, that has nothing to do with it on who's going to be on these boards or who's not going to be on these boards. I would say it's up to anyone, whether they're serving now, they can certainly be reappointed by the various legislation that appoints these through the General Assembly, through the governor, and then through the locals that have the authority to appoint those members on the board. So I can't stand here right now and tell you whether or not the current folks that are serving on these boards are competent or incompetent. I simply don't know them. But I can tell you that has zero motivation behind this piece of legislation of who is currently serving on these boards.
Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You're going to tell me that an entity that is working well, and there's an inference that I'm picking up from you that something's being mismanaged or something is wrong. And you won't say it. If there's something wrong, tell us.
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think you're trying to find something that doesn't exist. And so the fact that the money that we have here that is all Tennessee taxpayers need to be reflected on these boards. Thank you for your comments.
Leader Lamberth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know this is a dense and intricate bill, but Representative, is it also your last bill on the House floor?
Representative Garrett.
Yes.
Leader Lamberth.
Please. Look, here in a minute, I'm gonna ask something of the members that may vote yes and those that may vote no and those that may blue light this one. I know it is a controversial and intricate bill with a lot of moving parts, but I'll say this. Representative, you have worked on those type of bills the entire time you've been here. I cannot think of a better way for you to finish out your state legislative career than with a bill that requires debate and back and forth and is a very intricate bill to put together. So I know there are several of us and several folks on this floor that might go out on kind of a fun bill that you can stand up there and let us all brag on you, and you've chosen not to do that, and I respect that because it's how you've served the whole time. So I just want to highlight that. Congratulations on your last bill. I hope it passes. We'll find out in a few minutes. So.
Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I've listened to the debate. We're going back and forth, but it seems like this bill is about accountability. And we've talked about, some of my colleagues have said, this is an opportunity for us. We've given millions of dollars to these particular airports to make sure that things are running safe. You have to have accountability for be good stewards of the citizens' money because we're paying taxes. My question to you is that, what is the difference, or why does this bill require accountability, but when we have the educational spending accounts, we don't have any accountability? And we've given several $100 million to this program in 2 years.
Hey, Representative Dixie, I get it, but we're not on that bill. We're on this bill. So Representative Dixie, if you want to ask that question more directly, that'd be great. Representative Dixie.
My question is, why is this bill requiring accountability, but that one does not require accountability for, and they're both using the state's fund of taxpayer-funded money? My second question is, what is your definition of reconstitute?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's an interesting question, members, when folks want to compare one thing to another about accountability, the effect of certain legislation. You know, one's dealing with our kids, which takes time, right? In an age where we want instant gratification, we want instant success, either from our phones or for whatever you post on social media, that takes time, right? And we have a substantive difference when it comes to the bill that you're speaking about on how we educate our children. And what I can tell you is there's no one way. There's multiple ways to do that. There's multiple ways to accomplish that. I believe that the accountability that you refer to in those pieces of legislation as it relates to our education will be in our children and the ability for them to get an education that's right for them. That's where the accountability will take place. This, you're asking for accountability is because Tennessee taxpayer dollars goes to every single one of these particular authorities. And we need to make sure all Tennessee dollars are represented on these authorities. You ask for reconstitute. What that means, read the legislation. What that means, you'll find it. If you read the legislation, you'll see what reconstituting, it's replacing the current boards as instructed in the piece of legislation. You can read it. You can see how it does it. It's clearly in the piece of legislation. If you've read it, which I don't believe you probably have, otherwise that question wouldn't have been asked. But reconstituting is replacing it with the authority, with the ones that we've appointed. And I'd be happy to read it if you need me to read, so you'll know what reconstitute means under the piece of legislation. But it's just replacing the current board with the picks from the speaker of this body, with the speaker of the Senate, with the speaker, with the governor, and then it also has local appointees by the actually created authority. That, my friend from Nashville, is what reconstitute means under the piece of legislation, which is simply printed out right in front of you.
Representative Dixie.
First of all, I'm not your friend. Number two is watch your words and being demeaning and saying they can read. I can read just as well as you can. When you say reconstitute, my point is that I'm trying to tell you what my colleague right there said is exactly what you're doing. Reconstitute means you're tearing something down and replacing it with something else. And you just defined it in this bill. So I do take offense to saying that I didn't read the bill. If I didn't read the bill, I wouldn't have had a question. So you can, again, your attitude toward answering the question, if you don't know the answer to the question, and if you can't really have an educated response, then just say, I renew my motion. Or have someone call the question for you, like you normally do. But don't demean me again, ever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate those comments. I completely disagree with them, my friend.
Representative Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, since you wouldn't answer Representative Akeem's question, I'll try to answer it for him. This is a power grab, is what it is. That's all this is. You know, Nashville's airport is doing quite well. Let's see. Best large airport in America, USA Today, ranked second. Best airport for shopping, USA Today, ranked first. Best airport bar, ranked first in the country. Best grab-and-go food, ranked second in the country. Best overall experience of an airport, ranked sixth in the country. So, you know, we're doing quite well, thanks to the father of one of my colleagues who helped rebuild that airport into something that is great and that it is. We don't need any help from any of the state, because you keep talking about state dollars going into it. Well, that airport brings in $8 billion to Tennessee's economy. So I don't think we need your little help, whatever you're throwing over there. But we think a lot of times Nashville's airport, you know, we think we're all so great and grand. Well, Memphis Airport is bringing in $30 billion to our economy. So what we're doing is we're playing with all these airports, probably about a $50 billion to the state's economy, so we can put our little buddies on these that probably aren't qualified, but they want a position because they donated X amount to somebody's campaign. So that's what we're going to do in this state. We're going to hand out these. This bill seems similar to one that I think you lost in court a couple of years ago, where they said it was unconstitutional. I think we even got a letter from Trump's FAA guy and President Bush's saying it was a bad idea, terrible idea. You shouldn't be doing things like this. But here you are again. And I'm kind of glad it's your last bill, so you can just break something on your way out.
Representative Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for your comments, Representative Mitchell.
Representative Mitchell.
And I don't think Dixie or myself are your friend.
Deputy Speaker Zachary, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the previous question.
Previous question being called. Is there objection? We're on the board. All those in favor of previous question, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 67, 25 nays, one present on vote.
Previous question prevails. We're voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 2473 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 70, 22 nays, four present on voting.
Senate Bill 2473, having received the constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. The motion reconsiders table. Yeah. Leader Lambert. Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to return to today's calendar, item 7 at this time.
Objection is over. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2592 by Representative Boyd, relative to utilities. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Chairman Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to Senate Bill 2102.
Chairman Boyd moves to substitute and conform to Senate Bill 2102, probably seconded with objections ordered. Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 2102 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Boyd moves passage of Senate Bill 2102 on third and final consideration, probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, call it First Amendment.
House State and Local Government Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My friend, move to withdraw.
Without objection, committee amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Finance Ways and Means Committee Amendment number 1 filed as House Amendment 2.
Chairman Hicks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment rewrites the bill. Move to adopt and defer to the sponsor for further explanation.
Chairman Hicks moves adoption. Committee amendment number 2, probably seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of committee amendment number 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Finance Ways and Means Committee Amendment number 2 filed as House Amendment 3.
Chairman Hicks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Makes changes relative to municipalities and electric cooperatives. Move to adopt, my friend.
Chairman Hicks moves adoption. Of committee amendment number 3, probably seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of committee amendment number 3 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Amendment 4 by Representative Boyd. Mr. Speaker, was not timely filed.
Representative Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for consideration of amendment number 4.
You've heard the motion, probably second. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 4. All those in favor of considering amendment number 4, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 78, 15 nays, one present on voting.
In accordance with Rule 60B, having received necessary 2/3 vote, the motion consider amendment number 4 prevails. Chairman Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Amendment number 4 would offer some clarifying language to clarify that if a utility board already includes members who live outside the city limits under a previous arrangement, those members can count toward the new requirement. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of amendment number 4.
Chairman Boyd moves adoption. Amendment number 4, probably seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of amendment number 4, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 71, 22 nays.
Amendment number 4 is adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chairman Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Across the state of Tennessee, everyone in the state, with the exception of some folks that live in the Kingsport area, buys their electricity either from an electrical co-op or from a municipally owned local power company. The people that buy their electricity from municipally owned local power companies sometimes live outside of the city limits. Whether they live outside of the city limits inside the home county or whether they live in an outside county, they do not have a board member that represents them. The board members are appointed by the mayors of the cities that own the asset. This bill would add board members that would represent those populations in the county outside of the city limits or outside counties. The second part of the bill, members, deals with annexation, not to be confused with the conversation that we had earlier today about annexation amongst the members. This bill would deal with a municipally owned local power company. When a city annexes outside of its city limits, currently the municipally owned local power company can compel a co-op to sell their customer base and their assets pursuant to state law. And there is a formula set in statute that sets the price. What this bill would do is it would say that if a municipally owned local power company wanted to buy one, they would have to negotiate with the co-op and pay whatever the market price that they establish, and it has to be consensual. If the cooperatively owned power company does not want to sell and they want to retain their customers and their assets, they can do that under this law. That is consistent with how it works when it flows in the other direction. There are times that a co-op will buy a muni, but there is no established price set in statute. They have to just simply make an offer that the city can't turn down, and that's how they acquire a municipally owned local power company. This would make it consistent so that both directions that it flows, they would have to negotiate and agree upon a established price. Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Chairman Boyd renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to the sponsor, the language in the bill talks about giving persons who live in a county that is serviced by the utility a chance to have someone on the board appointed from their area. What provisions are in the legislation that specifically would ensure that in places like a metropolitan form of government in Nashville, where the larger percentage of that utility service population does not have a unbalanced a number of persons from outside of that city-county mix on the board?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad you asked that question because we actually put a provision in there to deal with that. So if members are added to the board and it creates an imbalance that gives control to groups outside of the municipality, they can add additional seats to maintain a simple majority. But I do want to add, I didn't get too granular when I explained this portion of the bill, but I will tell you, this only applies in cities or cities that are in counties with a population of 350,000 or more. So that narrows it down. So although it's a statewide application, it would only have impact in 4 of our counties. And what happens when you have 3,500 ratepayers outside of the city limits, they would qualify for a board member. If the home county had more than 130,000 people outside of the municipality, they would qualify for a second board member. But if at some point it becomes lopsided because of the number of board members that have been appointed, this does give a provision that they can do that. If one of the outside counties, for whatever reason, did not want a board member, then they do not have to appoint one on there.
Representative Love.
Thanks. So just so I'm hearing you clearly, if the outside counties do not want to appoint someone, they don't have to. And also there's a provision to allow the majority area county or city to add persons if it at some point presents a lopsided or uneven percentage of board members from outside that larger service area.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is correct. And additionally, I'd like to add one other thing as well. As it pertains to the home county, if there are currently, and I had mentioned that in the amendment a minute ago, but if there are board members that already represent that area, then they do not have to add any additional members pursuant to this bill.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, sponsor.
Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chairman Boyd, it may not be relevant to you. I did want to say that EPB in Chattanooga, the electric power entity, Consumer Report ranks them as number 2 in the nation. And J.D. Powers has ranked, as far as mid-sized cities are concerned, number 1 in the nation for 9 years. And the question that Representative Love had, I'm trying to be clear. If a municipality service, top ranked as they are, that isn't currently a similar, that's not it. What I'm trying to get at is that EPB has the capability to serve the areas that you're speaking of. And does this create a problem when you have a smaller utility that may be a startup or maybe one that's not doing as well as it should for the persons they already serve?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would agree. EPB does an incredible job, and so I want to agree with you on that. I think if I understand your question correctly, you're asking if there's a neighboring electrical utility that, for lack of a better word, is substandard in their operations, could they acquire them? Is that what you're asking?
Representative Hakeem.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's essentially what I'm asking. Yes, sir.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Absolutely, they can acquire them. They would just have to make an offer, come to some sort of agreement, and buy them the natural way, the same way that a co-op would go if they wanted to buy a muni.
Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm trying to think of a situation where I'm going to say they're worth $1 million, but they're asking $15 million. Would that go to arbitration, or what would happen?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, they would just have to negotiate with them and establish a price that they agreed upon, and then they would outright buy them.
Representative Hakeem.
Thank you.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chairman Boyd, thank you for clarifying about the population limits as it relates to board members. I think that was an important component that my community wanted. I did have a question, though. Under the previous statute, there was a formulary that your bill eliminates. In that formulary, one of the guidance that was on there is it was a protection for co-ops that said the formulary in which it did, but at the end of it, it said, unless there was some kind of bond issuance non-compliance. How would we preserve that? For instance, if your city and my city agreed to come to terms on the number, and then we had a contract to do so, and then someone ends up finding out that their bonding company wouldn't allow them to let those assets go for that amount, how does it protect in the same way now that that previous formulary would?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So you're saying they agree upon a price, but the bonding company will not agree to it. They want more money, or they just, if you could clarify your question.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So for instance, under my example, you and I agree to terms and we agree to sell for $20 million for this small section of the property. We sign the document and then it goes to issue bonds. What happens in the instance, or they go to sell, but their bonding company that's underwritten all that co-op's bonds says, no, you can't sell it for that because of the bonds that you currently have on the entire system. Currently, the state statute would say that they couldn't sell if the bonding company wasn't there. Would that just be a provision that would be included in the negotiation between the two? Or is that what you would assume? Or is there some kind of guidance that would protect the co-op from the municipality by removing that part of the statute?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So they would have to agree upon a price. I imagine the bonding company would have to release that in order for that to be transitioned over. So if the bonding company fought that, I imagine that they would go to court over it, and it's possible that they couldn't acquire them at that price.
Leader Lamberth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know there are a lot of moving parts of this bill, kind of two primary issues. I just want to stand and say thank you on behalf of over 50,000 Sumner County residents and many constituents of mine and Representative Garrett and Slater's. During the ice storm that hit, and again, it's been over 3 decades since we've had one like it, I had 50,000 of our constituents that did not have a voice on a board that was part of a municipality. And for most of the rest of the municipalities in the state and the co-ops, and there was somebody that could be called. There was a board member there that answered to those particular people. Well, in this instance, it kind of brought to light that they did not have a voice in a board position. So thank you for addressing that. It hasn't been mentioned as much as part of your bill, but it is very, very important to those people that did not have a voice during one of the most difficult times that they've gone through in their life, doing, literally days, if not weeks without power. So thank you for giving those folks their voice, not just here within Middle Tennessee, but throughout the state. And I appreciate the other provisions of the bill as well. I think it's well thought out. You've done a really good job of navigating all of this. And we all appreciate that because it's a very difficult issue. So thank you.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate your support of the bill, and I agree. Wilson County has a portion of ratepayers that buy from NES, and I believe I don't believe in electrification without representation, and so we will have that now. I know that I oftentimes called my co-op board member during some of the various ice storms and tornadoes, and so I look forward to those people and the counties around having that as well.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is concerning the annexation portion of this legislation. A few years ago, under Governor Haslam, this body passed the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act, which arguably was anything but, and that's in Chapter 7, Section 52, 601. And as you recall, that limited an energy authority like EPB, which you've said is an incredible provider and does a tremendous job. It prevented them from expanding their fiber network to nearby communities that actually wanted it, limited them to their jurisdiction. And so, the chapter that was passed, energy authorities are only allowed to provide telecom services, including internet, within their service area. So my question is, if with this annexation portion of this legislation, how is that going to overlap with that Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act's limitations? If you go over into another jurisdiction or you acquire part of another jurisdiction through the annexation, does that mean anything that was invested in that broadband is also going to their areas now all of a sudden expanded? If that co-op decides to expand, that municipality's jurisdiction is shrunk, are they going to reimburse them for the monies that were invested in this on the front end? How is that going to work, and how does this overlap with the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So when they annex, there's the annexation by the city, and then there's an annexation by the electric utility. And so if they don't acquire that from the co-op, then that wouldn't be a territory that they could sell broadband in. So I think that part is probably rather obvious. But the question you had is if they've already put fiber infrastructure in. I'm not aware of any municipally owned power company right now that has put fiber out in an area that they haven't already annexed. I mean, are you saying that they've already gone out and provided fiber inside a co-op's territory?
Chairman Clemens.
No, I'm saying if it's the reverse, if the co-op expands, if they acquire portions, let's say if a systems reaches out into another county and they decide to annex that portion, or they sell that to the co-op, does that co-op then, does their ability to expand broadband within that jurisdiction then expand also? Or the case that you just gave, the hypothetical, is if they don't sell that portion of it, that's problematic because the very provisions of the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act are specifically limited to the areas in which they're providing energy. So if they are only selling part of their property rather than the energy portion of the property, now you've got two overlapping jurisdictions, only one of which can provide broadband within that area, because it's confined by the energy jurisdiction within the law that we passed under Governor Haslam. So that's my question is, you've got overlapping jurisdiction there, and I don't know that this law has taken that into account to account for that overlapping jurisdiction as it pertains to broadband accessibility for the citizens of Tennessee, and who's going to have jurisdiction over that expansion.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You're kind of muddying the waters here and intentionally trying to confuse the issue. In Tennessee, a co-op can provide broadband to their ratepayers, to their cooperative members, and a municipally owned power company can provide to their customers as well. Period. So right now, if a municipal goes out there and they acquire it, then that would be their customer base at that point in time. This bill does not get into the fiber issue. This simply says that if you are going to go out and annex an area, it has to be consensual. You can't do it by force. You can't go out there, reference a state law, look at the formula set in code, and essentially conduct a shotgun wedding. That is not going to happen anymore when this bill passes.
Chairman Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not trying to muddy the water here. I'm just saying that the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act is contingent upon an area in which a supplier or provider is providing energy. So if you're talking about annexation and expanding your area or contracting your area of energy provision to a specified population, that also triggers the Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Act, which governs your jurisdiction to provide broadband services. So if you're already providing broadband services to someone else, but you're selling the energy here, I'm asking you, how is that going to work legally? Are these going to be contemplated if there is an annexation? And how is that going to play out? That's my simple question. I'm not trying to muddy the water. I just want to recognize and acknowledge you got two overlapping laws here dealing with energy jurisdiction that I don't think has been accounted for in this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I? Oh, okay. I thought my time was cut off. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So if this bill passes and they would like to annex an area and they can't because the co-op wants to retain it, then the muni will not be going out there and providing broadband. It couldn't be more clear. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Boyd, I represent a rural area and the annexation portion of your bill. If there's a densely populated area right outside of one of my cities, and they go in and they annex that, then that co-op wants to, they decide they will sell it. But this right here, this bill will actually give them a negotiating power with that municipality to help the rate players, put them in a better position, because that densely populated area was what was keeping the rates lower for the rest of the co-op. Is that fair?
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Absolutely. The co-ops have a more rural customer base. It costs more to provide fiber between, when you have a mile or two between customers. And so anytime they can provide energy, electricity to a densely populated area or even get commercial ratepayers, that helps keep the cost for the rest of their co-op members down. And so I think you bring up a really good point, and that is that when a municipal local power company comes in there and annexes and takes it by force, that's essentially driving the cost up for the rural ratepayers.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just appreciate the effort you put forth on this. I know you've worked in this area for 6 or 8 years now, and I look forward to working with you as we go forward. But thank you for the effort you put forth on this bill. Look forward to supporting it.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate your support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to my friends, and I mean all of you in the room, welcome to the future. This is what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be playing a critical role in our state's vitality for years to come. Power generation and power distribution. This is a bill that seeks to level the playing field among two separate groups. Yes, there's intricacies to what's going on here, but I want to kind of shuck it down to the cob for you so you don't get confused on what we're trying to do. The first is understand that these power companies are monopolies granted that authority by the state. There is no free market. Some pay taxes, some don't. So what happens is we can't allow the market to sort this out. However, today, municipally owned power companies own a competitive advantage in the marketplace. That is because by statute, we give them the authority to basically condemn or declare eminent domain on a co-op's assets whenever there's been an annexation in a community. The co-op has no right to refuse. The bill that we're trying to pass here will make any acquisition consensual between two organizations that both function as monopolies. So understand that's really what we're doing is we're trying to level the playing field up to where this becomes a business transaction rather than a taking that's endorsed by the state. That's the second part of it. The first part of it is that in many, many places in the state of Tennessee, and I live in one, is that municipal-owned utilities are providing services to customers that have no form of redress. I can't vote for the Memphis City Council, but yet I still have to buy their power. I still have to take what they give me. Even in this case, this bill, frankly, is salve on a gaping wound that I want to address later. But what it does do is it at least gives us a voice in the room to where they can at least voice the opinion of, in my instance, 40% of the municipal power company's customer base. And to give MLGW credit, the power company that we're speaking of, they tried to do this themselves and the Memphis City Council rejected it out of hand because in some cases, people are playing politics and exerting land use control through the use of utilities across this state. Make no doubt about that. So what I would suggest, and remember, let's just keep it simple. We're giving people a form of redress, even if it's minimal, and we're trying to level the playing field. And I appreciate Chairman Boyd because this has been some complicated language that we've dealt with. But this is something that we will continue to deal with in the coming years and decades of how energy is both generated and distributed throughout our state. And if we get it right, we're going to continue to prosper. If we get it wrong, we're going to fail. And so anyway, I thank you, Chairman Boyd, former Chairman Boyd, and to all my friends in the room for listening. Thank you.
Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move previous question.
Previous question been called. There's objection. We're all on the board. Those in favor of previous question, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 69, 23 nays, 3 present, not voting.
Previous question prevails. We're voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 2102 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 66, 23 nays, 7 present, not voting.
Senate Bill 2102, having received a constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection to most reconsider table. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2111 by Representative Boyd and others relative to corrections.
Representative Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of House Bill 2111 on third and final consideration.
Representative Boyd moves passage. Properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, call for First Amendment.
House State and Local Government Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to withdraw.
Without objection, Committee Amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Finance Ways Means Committee Amendment number 1 filed as House Amendment 2.
Chairman Hicks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment rewrites the bill. Move to adopt and defer to the sponsor for further explanation.
Chairman Hicks moves adoption of Committee Amendment number 2. Probably seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of Committee Amendment number 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Bill 2111 is a wonderful bill that has bipartisan support. What it would do is it will establish a advisory board, a state family advisory board comprised of 9 members, all of who have family members who are currently incarcerated individuals in the state of Tennessee. These members will be appointed by the governor, the Speaker of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and there will be 3 of them from each grand division. They will foster communication between families and the Department of Correction. They will support family reunification and successful reentry of incarcerated individuals, and they will offer feedback on department activities that affect inmates and their families. Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Representative Boyd renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. A board with 9 people. It sounds familiar. It sounds like, a board that's going to be reconstituted from the last bill. 9 members. So it's 3 members from each grand division. That would be equal representation instead of like representation from maybe one area that has less than 1% of the population representing, somebody who has 88% of the population. So this isn't a power grab like other bills that, my hand may have been one of the first hands up to speak on, but didn't get to. But at least you're balancing out this board instead of your county that has less than 1% of the population, that you ought to be thankful we give you electricity.
I believe that was off topic. Out of order. Representative Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, there's still time to come down here and sign on to this bill. It's an incredible bill. It's so far had bipartisan support. I'm very proud to support it and to be carrying this piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, I once again renew my motion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 2111 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 90, no nays.
House Bill 2111 having received constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. The motion reconsider is tabled. Call up next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 1708 by Representative Capley, relative to motor vehicles.
Representative Capley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of House Bill 1708 on third and final consideration.
Representative Capley moves passage. Probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, call it First Amendment.
House Transportation Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rewrites the bill. Move to adopt.
Chairman Howell moves adoption. Committee Amendment number 1. Probably seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of Committee Amendment number 1 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
House Amendment 2, Representative Jones and Davidson. Mr. Speaker, it was timely filed.
Representative Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 amendments, and so I'm going to be brief on this first one. This first one is referencing the fact that we have European immigrants here before us today trying to tell other immigrants that either you learn English or you're not welcome here. And so, if I listen to the name Capley, it does not sound like a Choctaw or Cherokee or Shawnee or Yuchi name to me, but it means that he came from somewhere that was not America. And so this bill is calling out the hypocrisy of this bill, where this bill is saying you have to know English or you cannot get a driver's license. My bill is saying, no, let's speak the original language of this stolen land that we're on, and saying that you have to learn Cherokee, Choctaw, Shawnee, or Yuchi in order to pass a driving test in Tennessee. Because this young man up here is passing this very harmful legislation that does not help public safety, that does not make anybody's lives more safe on the road. But in fact, this bill has impetus in a movement that I'm going to talk about in my next amendment. And what we've seen with this legislation is you have the Japanese consulate reaching out to lawmakers saying, please don't pass this bill because it's going to stop them from investing in our state. The Japanese consulate is saying that if you pass this bill, jobs are going to leave this state, our conference is going to leave this state, and it's going to hurt our economic viability as a community. And so, again, this amendment is very simple. You can vote for it, against it. It doesn't matter to me, but it's showing the hypocrisy of these European immigrants before me, also known as colonizers, who want to tell other people that you're not welcome here, that you must assimilate, even though they themselves are immigrants here too. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption of this amendment.
Proper motion, probably seconded. Any discussion? Leader Lamberth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question on the amendment.
Previous question been called. Is there objection? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 2, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Ms. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 19, 73 nays.
Amendment number 2 fails. Next amendment, Ms. Clerk.
House Amendment 3 by Representative Jones and Davidson. Mr. Speaker, it was timely filed.
Representative Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment is to give some of the background and history of this bill. And so in 2010, we first saw these English-only bills popping up where they tried to introduce English-only legislation by an organization called Pro-English. And efforts to mandate English-only driver's license tests have been linked by civil rights organizations to white nationalists and anti-immigrant groups, with the proponents often framing these initiatives as safety measures, as we see today. This organization that introduced this bill in 2010, which Republicans and Democrats voted against, called out the fact that Pro-English was a prominent white supremacist organization founded by John Tanton, known to have previously written statements such as saying the need for a European American majority that must express concerns about the, quote, educatability of Latinos. And so saying that because of your nature of being brown and immigrant that you're not able to get educated. And so that's the first concern. Secondly, in Pennsylvania, when this was introduced in 2015, a Pennsylvania House committee was testified by a member of a white nationalist group that the SPLC called out named Robert Vandervoort. If we continue on, we see that supporters of English-only laws often align with the failure of multiculturalism narrative, a common theme in far-right and white nationalist circles. And many researchers have also suggested that for many English-only legislation bills like this, it is not about language efficiency or safety, but about ensuring white hegemony by marginalizing non-English speakers. And so I know they reached out to ask what this amendment stands for, the AWSB bill, and that stands for another white supremacist bill. Because what this bill is doing is perpetuating the same agenda of these white nationalist groups who come here and say that because you're brown, because you're immigrant, that you are not welcome here. And I think that Representative Capley is very familiar with those organizations. And some of them wear white sheets, and some of them march outside the Capitol with swastikas. But I think it's very concerning to the members on the other side of the aisle that your policy agenda now matches the agenda of white nationalist groups. And I hope that the media will pick up on the fact that these white nationalist groups are cheering on and asking. And Mr. Speaker, can I? Mr. Speaker, I know that you may like these organizations too, but is this house in order right now? Because you called me out of order for less. And so I just want to understand, do white members have different rules than black members in this house, or do we still have some type of decorum here? And so I would like to go under the rule.
That's out of order. Lear Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question on the amendment.
Previous question been called. Any objection? See none. We're on the board. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 3, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 14, 79 nays.
Amendment number 3 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, Amendment 4 by Representative Chisholm. Mr. Speaker, it was not timely filed.
Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for consideration.
You've heard the motion, probably seconded. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 4. All those in favor of consideration of amendment number 4, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 88, 6 nays.
In accordance with Rule 60B, having received the necessary 2/3 vote, the motion to consider amendment number 4 prevails. Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment, it says, well, the department may ensure that each driver service center in the state prominently displays a list of local entities and individuals that can provide English as a second language to those that need to learn English. With that, I move for adoption.
Proper motion, probably seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're on the board. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 4, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Ayes 86, 7 nays.
Amendment number 4 is adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Capley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill is about something simple, something fundamental. What does it mean to be a licensed driver in this state? Because a driver's license is not just a privilege, it's a responsibility. It means you can read the signs. It means you can understand the rules of the road. It means that you can operate safely alongside every other Tennessean out there trying to get home to their family. House Bill 1708 strikes a fair, concise, common sense, balanced approach. It says we're not going to slam the door in somebody's face. If you don't speak English, you can still drive. It's just a temporary amount of time. You can take it in one of the 5 languages that we offer now. You get a temporary license, learn enough to pass the test. If you're going to live here, if you're going to work here, if you're going to drive on our roads, then you should be able to understand the language of those roads. It's not radical, it's not extreme, it's safety, it's accountability, and frankly, it's respect for every other driver on the road. This bill makes something else clear. If you're going to register a vehicle in this state, you got to show legal presence, because the people of Tennessee expect that our systems are not going to be abused. They expect that the laws we pass mean something, and they expect us to have a backbone to enforce them. Now, obviously, you've heard opposition say this is too strict and, oh, this is horrible and everything else. But let me ask you, is it too strict for someone driving a 2-ton vehicle to understand what a stop sign is? Is it too strict to expect basic communication on our roadways? I don't think so. Is it too strict to say legal status matters? I don't think so. And with that, I renew my motion.
Representative Capley renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Bain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 20 years before this bill made it to the House floor, the Tennessee Chamber, the Nashville Chamber, all of the business interests across this state have worked to stop this bill for the past 20 years. It inhibits economic development and it compromises our relationships with international partners, like the country of Japan. My colleague from Davidson County alluded to a letter that was sent by the Japanese consulate, and I'm going to quote, "On the economic side, Japanese investment in Tennessee now exceeds $21 billion, supporting 60,000 jobs across more than 200 facilities. Our shared ties have grown to this level in part because Tennessee has consistently cultivated a favorable investment environment and always a welcoming attitude towards Japanese companies." They opposed this bill. Representative Capley, I know this is the highlight of your career, but were you aware that the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development is hosting its 48th Japan joint meeting in Nashville this October with Governor Lee, Governor Haslam, and Bridgestone's global CEO?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I renew my motion.
Representative Bain.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're done being nice. We are done. If you will not listen to the business community, our international partners and relationships, executives that are telling this body that this bill is bad for business, then you've left me no choice. I hope Commissioner McWhorter is listening. I hope the Tennessee ECD liaisons are listening, because here's what I'm going to do. I will spend every minute between now and October making sure that the Japanese consulate, every single CEO coming to this summit knows exactly what has transpired in this building and in this body this session. I'm going to put up billboards for every single person who votes for this bill. Put up a billboard in Nashville indicating why you voted for it and what you voted for. I'm going to place op-eds in Japanese newspapers describing what has transpired in this body this year. Because you all don't get it. We have been fighting this for 20 years. And now this is a culminating moment for you, for the xenophobia in this state. And yet we have done nothing to lower the cost of groceries. We have done nothing to lower the cost of utilities. We have done nothing to lower the cost of housing. But you all, thank God, now the Japanese CEOs and their hard working employees that have made a life in Tennessee and the new ones coming over won't be able to drive. Well done. Well done. So here's what I do. This is my promise to you, Representative Capley. I'm going to put your face and your name on a giant billboard downtown Nashville, indicating that you are the sponsor of this bill and that this is the highlight of your career. You're welcome.
Representative Capley.
Would that be an in-kind contribution, or does anybody know?
Your time's out. I think your 5 minutes is gone. Representative Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the representative who just spoke makes the best point for this bill. Imagine if the situation was reversed and any of us, we can't speak Japanese, went to Japan and we expected to be able to drive. We would not be able to read the road signs at all. Most Japanese who come over here to work understand English. That's why they've come to an American company. So they will be able to drive here in the United States because they will be able to read and pass the test. My husband and I last fall went to a foreign country. I was stunned at not being able to read the road signs. They are not universal. We were not driving, but we were looking at the signs. And it was really disturbing not understanding what they meant. It really was. And it really emphasized to me how important it is that you can read and take the test so that you can understand road signs and be able to be a safe driver in the United States and Tennessee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I want to reiterate something. We are giving 18 months right now. That's literally in the legislation where they can have a temporary driver's license and do what they're doing now. In Japan, that's been mentioned several times. If you go over there and take the test, they give you 6 months. So.
Deputy Speaker Zachary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question.
Previous question, McCall. There's objection. We're on the board. All those in favor of previous question, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 74, 19 nays.
Previous question prevails. We're voting. All those in favor of House Bill 1708 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 78, 17 nays.
House Bill 1708, having received a constitutional majority, hereby declare passed without objection. Motion to reconsider is tabled. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 1817 by Chairman Russell and others relative to commercial driver's licenses. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Chairman Russell, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to Senate Bill 1748.
Chairman Russell moves substitute and conform Senate Bill 1748, probably seconded without objection. So ordered. Chairman Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 1748 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Russell moves passage of Senate Bill 1748 on third and final consideration. Probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, call First Amendment.
House Transportation Committee Amendment Number 1.
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rewrites the bill. Move to adopt.
Chairman Howell moves adoption. Committee Amendment Number 1, probably seconded. Any discussion on amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Committee Amendment Number 1 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chairman Russell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 1748 requires a law enforcement officer to issue an out-of-service order to a driver issued a commercial driver's license if the officer determines the driver cannot speak or understand English during a safety inspection. With that, Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Chairman Russell renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Chairman, does the language in the bill speak to where the commercial driver's license that the driver was issued came from?
Chairman Russell.
It does not.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Chairman, what if it's a driver that has a commercial driver's license, but he's making an international run from Mexico into the USA and happens to come into Tennessee?
Chairman Russell.
That they would still have to fall under the understanding English to be able to drive. All commercial licenses are given in English, so they still have to speak and understand English.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's now normally I'm about 80% with you on your legislation, 85 at least. But this one, it actually just kind of hit me. This can have a real chilling effect on goods that we may have coming in possibly from Canada for French-speaking individuals or that have received their commercial driver's licenses in Canada, and those that are coming in possibly from Mexico or other Latin American countries that are driving with legitimate commercial driver's licenses into our state. And when that vehicle is put out of service, what happens to the vehicle and the goods that are in the vehicle?
Chairman Russell.
So the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has got strict guidelines on commercial drivers supposed to be able to speak and understand English. This was in effect all the way up until 2016. It's been rescinded. It worked really good up till then. And if they are deemed out of service, the truck would be parked until a new driver can come and drive it.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to put this on the record. Being a person, maybe one of very few people that have lived in another country, I heard a lot of untrue statements being made in here today about other countries and how Americans are treated in other countries. When I lived in Japan for a year, I had a license. I couldn't speak a bit of Japanese before I got, when I first got to Japan. But however, if you look at international symbols, most countries that you go to, if you see a red octagon or a circle, it means stop. The symbols is what determines the drivers and the driver's safety. If they have received a commercial driver's license from their country, then I think that we might have missed the mark, or maybe we just didn't provide for what we are to do in those instances. And so unfortunately, I won't be able to support this legislation, but I appreciate you explaining to me. Thank you so much.
Chairman Russell.
Thank you, and I renew my motion.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm somewhat baffled by the direct attacks we continue to take on our local economies here in the state of Tennessee through discriminatory legislation. The fact that someone is unable to read and speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public, to portray that as being unable to operate a vehicle for which they've received a license in some state or some jurisdiction, to pass the test, to be able to get that CDL or whatever that license is, just because they can't speak English language sufficiently to converse with the general public. I'm just curious, what's a trooper, what's somebody going to do? Ask them to come out and give a speech at the way station? Hand them a novel, hand them a War and Peace and ask them to read it? The problem with this legislation is the or. So if you're unable to speak English language sufficiently to converse with the general public, or to be able to understand highway traffic signs and signals, one of those is relevant. One of them has nothing in the world to do with operating a motor vehicle. One of them is directly aimed and targeted at certain individuals in a discriminatory manner. That's truly unfortunate. That is not becoming a state government. Many of the policies we're enacting and that we have enacted tonight are unbecoming a state government that values people, that realizes that we are taking a direct attack not only on people, but our local economies.
We fund every road in this state through the gas tax. We keep calling things our or them. Well, guess what? Everybody's a human being. You buy gas, you pay for the road. There is no our road. There is no our highway. It's everybody who drives on it and pays gas tax. It's their highway. And so now we're going to cut our own throat. We already have an underfunded state highway fund. So now we're going to send freight around the state of Tennessee and lose all those gas and diesel taxes just because we want to look like we are bowing down to Stephen Miller or somebody. This is absurd. I cannot believe we are literally saying you can't drive on our roads if you can't speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public. That is laughable. All the points made on this other legislation are dead on. Why? Why are we discriminating against people? I've yet to hear an excuse, a justifiable excuse for blatant discrimination. Just because somebody else in here is incompetent of going to a foreign country and driving doesn't mean that all these people who have been duly licensed by jurisdiction are incapable of it. I mean, my God. Okay, why not just and? If you're incapable of operating and understanding highway traffic signals to operate a vehicle, you wouldn't have your license, I'm guessing. So what does speaking English fluently have to do with public safety?
Chairman Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is not personal cars. This is an 80,000-pound commercial vehicle that we're trying to address, make sure people can speak and understand English. I worked with safety, the NFIB, and everybody was all on board with this. It brings it back to where we was in 2016 before they stopped doing this. It worked fine up to then. With that, I renew my motion.
Chairman Clemens.
Honestly, I think most of these drivers driving these large vehicles that are amped up on some caffeine energy drink or some pill that they sell next to the cash register is a bigger threat to our public safety than someone just because they can't speak English. We're not doing anything to address that. We're letting them drive on toll lanes. We're letting them do whatever they want all over the state of Tennessee. But for some reason, just because they can't speak English to converse with the general public, they're all of a sudden a threat. And again, these are people who are already licensed. These aren't people who are unlicensed. These aren't people who just hopped in a big rig and decided to take off down the road. Finally, I just want to know what data you have to support this, that they're a threat to public safety. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Russell.
I renew my motion.
Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question.
Previous question been called. We're on the board. All those in favor of previous question, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote. Mr. Clerk takes the vote.
Aye, 72, 21 nays.
Previous question prevails. We're on the board. All those in favor of Senate Bill 1748 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take, let the journal reflect Representative Garrett's excuse. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 73, 21 nays.
Senate Bill 1748 having received constitutional majority, I hereby declare passed without objection. The motion reads here table. Call the next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 2129 by Representative Alexander and others relative to pre-kindergarten. Mr. Speaker, Senate bills on the desk.
Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to substitute and conform to SB 2361.
Representative Alexander moves substitute form of Senate Bill 2361, probably seconded without objection. So ordered. Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of SB 2361 on third and final consideration.
Representative Alexander moves passage of Senate Bill 2361 on third and final consideration, probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, call for first amendment.
House Education Committee Amendment Number 1, same as Senate Amendment Number 1.
Chairman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same as the Senate amendment, so I move to withdraw.
Without objection, amendment number 1 withdrawn. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This just sets up TASER conducting a comprehensive study on preschool education in Tennessee. And with that, I renew my motion.
Representative Alexander renews her motion. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, any vote. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question.
Previous question because their objection. Chairman Crawford calls the question. Any objection? See none. We are voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 2361 vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 93, no nays.
Senate Bill 2361 has received constitutional majority. I hereby declare passed by objection. Most reconsider table. Senator Lamberth, for what purpose?
Members, we've been at it for several hours at this time, and I noticed a few of you are getting a little hangry. So at this time, Speaker, I move that we take up the remainder of today's calendar tomorrow and take up unfinished business at this time.
Without objection, so ordered. Mr. Clerk.
Unfinished business.
Chairman Holsey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the rules be suspended for immediate introduction and consideration of HJR 1544.
Mr. Clerk, please read the caption.
Mr. Speaker, House Joint Resolution 1544, resolution to recognize Grace Bonecunner on the occasion of her retirement as an employee of Tennessee General Assembly.
You've heard the caption. Any objections? Without objections, the rules are suspended. Chairman Holsey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move adoption of HJR number 1544.
Chairman Holsey moves adoption of House Joint Resolution 1544, probably seconded. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, we are voting. All those in favor of House Joint Resolution 1544 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare it adopted without objection. Most reconsider table. Chairman Keisling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the rules be suspended for immediate consideration of SJR 1188.
Mr. Clerk, read the caption.
Senate Joint Resolution 1188, a resolution to honor and commend Rep. Pratt for his service to the General Assembly.
You heard the caption. Any objections? Without objection, the rules are suspended. Representative Keisling.
I move to concur in SJR 1188, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Keesley moves to concur in Senate Joint Resolution 1188, properly seconded. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye, aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare adopted. Without objection, the motion reconsider is tabled. Representative Hicks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 1909 be heard on the next available calendar.
Without objection, so ordered. Representative Mitchell, I don't have anything on unfinished business for you. Representative Mitchell.
Yes, in conferring with the majority leader and the minority leader for immediate, I wanted to bring up HAR 1541.
Come to the desk. All right, Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to bring up for immediate consideration HJR 1541.
Mr. Clerk, read the caption.
House Joint Resolution 1541, a resolution to honor the memory of songwriting legend Don Schlitz.
You've heard the caption. Any objections? Without objections, the rules are suspended. Representative Mitchell.
I move adoption.
Representative Mitchell moves adoption of House Joint Resolution 1541. Probably seconded. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Joint Resolution 1541 say aye, aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare it adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is tabled. Next order, Mr. Clerk. Oh, sorry, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, under unfinished business, Mr. Speaker, we have a motion filed under Rule 53 at the clerk's desk. Mr. Speaker, I wish to advise the House that on 4/20/2026, I will make a motion to recall House Bill 2514 from the Committee on Judiciary for the purpose of placing said bill on the next rules calendar for consideration as provided for in House Rule 53, signed Representative Fritz, dated 4/16/2026. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Rule 53, this motion must lie over a day.
It'll be on tomorrow. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Scheduling and procedural announcements.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no announcements.
Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Roll call.
Roll call. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Speaker, 91 members present.
Next order, Mr. Clerk.
That completes the regular order, Mr. Speaker.
Leader Cochran, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026.
Without objection, the House stands in recess till 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026.